Hello, welcome to the Inbetween podcast. I'm your host, Jessica, and I'm joined by Tony Tonzalati. How are you, Tony?
Bonjour. I'm doing well on this Sunday, Monday.
Monday, yeah.
Yep.
And we are currently in game announcement season. So I'm
Yeah.
going to try
Month
my
of
best
games.
to get through all of the quick news and stuff like that, and then we'll just pretty much be reacting to trailers and just being like, this looks cool.
In a way, it's good that we're like in the middle of like the announcements. We get to split up between two instead of one giant one.
Yeah. Well, like literally, if we did the podcast yesterday, we would have had to completely miss the Apple announcement. Apple just announced their VR headset, which has been rumored for the longest time, and it's like literally just happened. So I know nothing about it other than it looks like a pair of ski goggles that cost $3,500. So holy moly!
They're good sea goggles, okay.
Yeah. So I'll just go over quickly what I've been playing recently. I've been playing what is it? Warhammer Speed Freaks Alpha, H-Rot, which just came out of early access. Turnip Boy Commits Tax Evasion, and Metroid Prime Remastered. That's what I've been playing a
It's
couple of
quite
weeks.
it's quite the range of games though.
Which one are you the most interested in for me to give a brief description of?
Well, I want to know Speed Freaks because it looked kind of crazy.
Okay, so Speed Freaks, we'll talk about it in the Warhammer thing as well, but there's
Yeah.
actually an alpha now you can play, and I've been playing it. I can pull up my footage quickly just to show in the background, I guess. It's sort of like a death match race game. There's kind of like a race element to it. Essentially, it's like it's sort of like King of the Hill between two teams. I would say.
Oh, okay.
Essentially, you get into these like death cars, and there'll be a neutral point, and you'll have to race to get to the neutral point first to capture it first, and then you have to try and hold it as long as possible to gain more points. And the whole time, you'll be going around killing each other in these
Yeah.
cars full of orcs.
I kind of like the
It,
idea of like a death racing game. That sounds interesting to me. I guess that
mm,
racing is maybe a misnomer there, but you're in a car.
yeah, it's really fun, but I don't know like how much fun can be had with the amount of
Yeah,
content. I mean, it's an alpha now, but this is pretty much the whole game right now.
and there's
Is
no like single player experience like keep you
No,
going
there's no
if the servers or
there's no
people stop
single player
playing.
stuff at the moment. It's literally just this one game mode, and there's a bunch of cars to pick from, and a lot of them are really fucking cool. Like there's, I think there's a tank one that you can play as where it's more of like a long range unit,
Oh,
um,
okay.
where you're just like trying to because if it, I think the way it's balanced at the moment is pretty interesting. Where you have like you start out in a well-rounded Jeep where it's like you can move, you've got a bit of explosive damage, AoE and stuff like that. But you have like these war trikes where you're
Oh
like
my
very
god.
squishy, but you're also like very fast.
Right.
Um, and I was having a lot of, where you actually the main attack of that is not like guns. It's like you go in and you slash a claw, like sort of thing, and you're
Okay,
trying to like just
that's
get in
cool.
people's faces. And then you have like tanks, which are like have lots of health, because most cards have a boost in them, whereas the tank has like a self repair button. It sort of reminded me like the tank in Battlefield in the Battlefield EA game
Right.
that I would play. And the tank has an ability where you fire a rocket with an orc strapped to it, and then you control it in midair as the orc. It shows it that the camera point of view is
Interesting.
from the orc on the rocket.
Oh,
Um,
okay, I see what you're saying. Right, yeah, that's that's hilarious. Okay. That's
See if I
perfect.
can find it.
Is it wait, so there's two teams. Is the other team also orcs?
Yeah, yeah, orc
Okay.
the orc.
Or is that a new game mode, Orc v Orc? Okay.
Yeah, let's see if I can find it on here. Me firing it. Oh, here it is. Here's the orc cannon, the rocket cannon. You trying to hunt people down?
Oh, that's cool. Okay.
Yeah, but it's really fun. I played it for like a couple of hours last week because they're doing an alpha for a couple of weeks, and I played it for a bit, and then I was like, yeah, that was fun. Not, I don't think it's something that's going to be like that you go back to a lot. It just feels like quick, fast fun, and then you move on to something else. I don't know how
Yeah,
much legs this game has to stand on when it comes to longevity. It's not something like gripping like Overwatch or League of Legends or something like that, or just
yeah.
something that you just want to play over and over and over again, or whatever, right? But yeah,
Maybe there's some sort of like seasonal player base, but yeah, we'll have to see, I suppose. But it does
yeah.
look really cool at the very least.
I love like the gritty, almost like very like sharpened look to it.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
has like a very much like more
They
realistic, like gritty look to it, which I
they
quite
look
like.
realistic, but they almost look like models as well. It's a very weird
Yeah.
combination they've got going there. But yeah, I really like it. It's a good way of going about that, I think.
All right. Let's move on to games. Let's move on to trailers, unless there's something that you want to talk about this week.
No, no, no. Not
So for trailers, this is released outside of the E3 stuff. We've got Hot Wheels Unleashed 2 Turbocharged, to which I said, did we need another Hot Wheels Turbocharged game? I thought the first one
yeah,
was fine.
because you said like I asked you a couple of days ago, like, saying like what is it doing differently that couldn't just be added as extra content? They already have been doing to the first game, right?
Because
Which was a good game.
I've played this on my Steam Deck, and it runs great on there, and it
Okay.
looks great, and it was pretty fun. I didn't see why we need an entirely new SKU of game for this sort of game. I was like, couldn't we just add more maps to the first game? But it seems like they'd already
Yeah.
added a lot of DLC
Because
cars to the first game already.
yeah, because like it's like if you're going to release a new game, like
Oh,
you need like
motorbikes. Here we go.
a
That's
new
it.
shtick. Is motorbikes the shtick?
I guess, yeah.
The new feature that like
I
defines it,
guess
right?
it's
Like because you
like
need a difference.
some people on Reddit were saying they wanted a more like complex racing model, like they wanted change
Okay.
the car mechanics a bit around. I think could be interesting. Oh, we've got four wheelers. We've got four wheelers for those
Yeah, I
sandbox
mean
parts.
if they have done that, then I guess it'd be
Quad
interesting. But
bikes.
yeah, they don't really talk about it in the trailer though, right? So we don't know
No. This one's going to be
if
a
there is a
wait and
distinction
see.
there. Yeah,
But the first game was great.
yeah,
I don't.
but it didn't.
I guess this. I was going to say I didn't really know who this is for, but I guess it's for fans of the first game that wouldn't
Yeah.
want
I
to
want.
buy
I think we're both agree
DLC.
that they need to justify why it's like an Overwatch 2 situation. Like they need to justify why you needed another game.
Well, from a business standpoint, me and Tony understand that
Yes,
ninety
but to
percent
the
of the time,
customer.
90% of the time, from a business standpoint, if you want to make more content for a game, adding the number two on it will sell way better than releasing DLC. People
Yeah,
forget about DLC for games they've already paid. They want to play a new game, sort of thing.
yeah.
Moving on to releases. So on May 23rd, we had the release of Warhammer 40k Bolt Gun. I've heard this game fucks. We'll be talking about the Warhammer showcase later. A couple of games that were interesting there. Have you seen anything about this, Tony?
I've not seen properly some of it, but I've seen glimpses here and there, and it looks.
I've heard it's really
I've heard people
cool.
like it, and it
Yeah.
looks really cool. The clips I've seen and things, which is more than like I saw before. I like the start of this video, by the way. It's really cool. Just like you get out your book, get out your tome.
Yeah. Well, they're men of the cloth. They're holy men.
Yeah,
You know.
absolutely.
Yeah, it's really cool to see like more good Warhammer games because God knows we need more of those.
I mean, look at
Um,
that. Like, look at the. Oh, it's just beautiful.
mm.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. We do need more good Warhammer games, and
I like
we were
how
saying
good
before, it's
looking
like
it is while being this like pixelated old school
yeah,
style.
yeah.
As a big fan of boomer shooters, like I've recently just been playing the early access release of H-Rot. Um, it's an interesting art style and it can look really really
Because
good.
it's like, to me, it's like obviously it's like it's more than 16 bits. So to me, it's like kind of halfway between like SD and HD, but with like a dithering effect, but with then like the style of the art style and like the color palettes of the old boomer shooters. It's like it kind of It works really well to like
I
get
don't know.
like because I feel like you need
I,
the detail for like the armor and stuff. So
I, I don't know if it's so much a dithering effect. I mean, dithering was very popular on the
well, if you look
PlayStation
at the
era.
textures, yeah, we look at the textures. There's like the way they've done some of that stuff is like a dithering sort of. It's not like super dithering. It's like a slight like it makes some adds more interest to like a flat texture otherwise.
Yeah, apparently this from what I've heard, apparently it runs okay on Steam Deck. You can get like
Okay.
50 to 60 FPS. I don't think it's like a 60 lock as you might want with a game like this, but it runs pretty well, and there might be some more tweaking you can do to get a solid 60 if you're so inclined. I've seen videos of people overclocking their Steam Deck, and from what I've seen, that it seems like undervolting your Steam Deck is probably the way to go. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the way more interesting thing with like graphic card and CPUs coming out now. Undervolting is just so much more interesting to me based on the fact that they
Yeah.
come so
Well,
heavily overclocked out of the factory already, where they
yeah, because
turn the
you're but
thermals and the power draw
yeah,
and everything up.
if you can underclock it, you can get more for less thermals. So
Yeah,
and it's already boosting. Yeah, because you're kind of in a way you're not like you're not like tuning it yourself per se. Like you're kind of like doing other parameters that allows it to tune itself.
yeah, that looks cool. Convergence: A League of Legends story, one of the Riot Forge games. Another one came out, and we have Echo, who
Which
is a character from
which
League,
which
and
one was this one?
it's a Metroidvania game
Oh,
where you
okay.
play as Echo, who is like a time traveling character in
Right.
So I assume there's time traveling mechanics. It seems like there is based on the trailer. But I thought it looked pretty cool. I mean, like I'd be
Yeah.
interested to try this because I used to play League a lot. I like the characters, and they're very popular now. The characters after that Arcane show came out, which I have not
Yeah.
seen, but I've heard good things about. And yeah, Metroidvanias, I like them. I've been playing Metroid recently. I like it. So let's
Yeah.
move on. It seems pretty well reviewed as well, which is something to point out.
Yeah, it looks like the art style, like it's pretty
It's
nice as
Double
well.
Stallion were the devs behind this, and they did another game called Big Action Mega Fight on Steam. So I don't know too much about them, but it seems like they made an interesting game. Magic the Gathering Arena has released on Steam. Like for the longest time, it was only on their official launcher through like
Yeah.
Nexon or whatever the fuck it was. And then they were like, no, we're going to release on Epic, so you can launch the game through Epic. And then they were like, finally, we're coming to Steam, and it's got very mixed reviews. Um, my
Yeah.
question was, would this make it easier to play on Steam Deck? I don't know if anyone's answered that. Somebody says here it works perfect with Proton on Steam OS. Okay, well, seems like it might work with Steam Deck then.
There's no verified status then.
Not many things are verified. I can check it
Okay.
on ProtonDB. We want to check that.
There's some sort of anti-cheat system in there, isn't there? I guess it's compatible with the Proton DB. That's interesting.
It has a platinum rating on ProtonDB,
Okay.
so it seems like it just works. It just
Interesting.
works.
That's what
Uh,
you'd love to see.
yeah, I have a third-party plugin on my Steam Deck that just adds the ProtonDB rating onto the store page on the Steam Deck.
Oh, nice.
Generally,
Yeah.
if you want to know if a game runs on Steam Deck, the Steam verification system is not the greatest. It's usually easier to just look up on ProtonDB.
Yeah.
Because
How?
some games are like, we have no idea, and then I launch it and it works fine. And then sometimes like, it's unsupported, and then I'm like, oh, actually, this runs fine, or it's like playable. We don't know, and it's just like, well, this is fine, all right.
How many games, like as a rough percentage, would you say like are very playable? Let's say not quite, maybe not flawless, but like you don't have
Most
to do too
most
much to get it
games
working.
I've tried to launch and play. I'm trying to remember if there's any game that I've tried to launch where I've gone, oh, this just doesn't work on Steam Deck. There's not been many, to be honest with
Yeah.
you,
Like you hear that
because
as like a negative, is like, oh, technically, like if it was a Windows machine, like for one, you could always dual boot.
I'm
I don't
talking
know why,
strictly about
but
games on Steam. I've
yeah,
definitely
yeah,
had big
absolutely,
troubles with like
yeah,
trying to run
100%.
like install like Epic Games stuff or Overwatch and stuff on the Steam Deck. I mean, it's
There's
possible.
only that's only like 6 extra games out of Steam, right? Everything else
Yeah.
is on Steam.
Well, you might have your collection of games in GOG, in which you'd have to go through like Lutris or the Heroic
Yeah,
Games launcher or something like that.
see
Yeah.
that being a bit annoying.
But why is this? Let's have a look. Mixed, really bad social and quality of life features for how long it's been out. No chat, no replays, no player stats. There's less multiplayer modes and features than Duels of the Planeswalker 2012.
That is
You will
true.
also grind for weeks for competitive cards, only to have them banned because the developers can't build to playtest these days, and all the cards you grinded for to build around the banned cards are now worthless.
I think I like how they the way they frame that implies there's not something bad with the way they make single cards that are expensive really powerful and make other cards just shit. As if like, that just to me that's just like a fundamental problem
Yeah,
with
I
these
mean,
types of
I
games.
played MTG Arena for a little bit a couple of years ago, and I got like a pretty decent build with some Izzet cards I quite
I
liked.
remember I remember when we played there's like everything was just around what they called like planeswalker cards and it's like I just hated that. So I don't like playing against planeswalker cards, they're so boring.
I mean, I wanted the thing that pissed me off was like black, blue, white control.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, who is it? It's not Jace. It's like his name's like Demir or something. It's basically like I pretty much quit because they printed this blue like black card that was basically like your opponent cannot play the game. And it was like a
yeah.
planeswalker, so it was like, you can't
Hard
play the
counter.
game, you can't play the game,
Yep.
you can't play the game. And I was like, oh, fuck this shit, bro.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, some people
It's
really like that sort of stuff where they're like, I have fun by completely controlling the game and stopping my opponent from doing anything. So more power to
yeah,
them, I
it's
guess.
interesting to build, but I just feel like you can't have hard counters like that if you want everyone to have fun. And I just
Yeah,
I
or
think
you can
it's too
just
easy
play
to do.
red and just go face. I mean, that's the other.
Yeah, that's my other issue. It's like if you it's pay to win combined with like 3 archetypes. It's like efficiency, there's control and aggro, and it's like that's it.
Anyway, but yeah, I don't know. This is something I could see myself maybe booting up on the Steam Deck, but I don't think I have any real want to play it again at the moment, given how expensive it is to play. Because right now I'm just playing Hearthstone
Yep.
Battlegrounds still, and Hearthstone Battlegrounds is completely free to play, and I don't have to grind or pay for any cards. So
Yeah. It's a deck builder, right? So it's almost
yeah, it's
effectively
an auto
balanced.
battler, so you just
Yeah.
everyone just builds brand new cards in every game. So.
Yeah, just like kind of like self-consistently balances of it being external to the individual gameplay.
Yep. Planet of Lana came out May 23rd as well. May 23rd was kind of stacked. And it seems it's got some very positive reviews. People are saying it's very much like
There's
Limbo.
quite a few reviews. Nice.
Yeah. I think it has been. I was calling it a Limbo Light when we did our
Yeah,
Tangerine on the Demo Fest, and I was like, yeah, that's pretty fair.
I have
Like,
I've officially made a category in my Steam library Limbo like, so it's definitely a
there it
thing now.
is. But yeah, it seems like people either very positive of it or they're just not down with the slower pace of it.
Yeah,
It
which is fair.
seems interesting. Another Steam Deck game, maybe. It is verified on Steam Deck, this one.
Yeah, that would be nice to come
Um,
to for sure.
Glitchbusters came out. I remember this was like a weird 4-player co-op game that switched between like 2-player and 3D. Sorry, 2D and 3D, and like 4-player. I thought it looked pretty interesting. I wanted to see how. I want to see if people are playing it. It's got 22
So it's
reviews.
like a party game sort of.
Simply
Well,
put, this
what?
game is amazing. The art style alone could carry, but the gameplay was just so nostalgic and addictive. Smooth controls on controller, intuitive, and the customization options are super cute. Definitely played with friends if possible. In one word, fun. This game is fun to play even with only two
What do you actually
people.
do? Like, do you
It's like a shooter game.
Yeah,
It
you're
says
just
it's got the
shooting.
tag looter shooter. I don't think it's like a looter
Okay.
shooter though. I think it's more like like power up elements. It's like
Yeah, okay. You're just like showing like lots of stuff on screen. Okay.
I think because it has shared split screen, I think this would be a good like split screen game to just open
Yeah.
up and play with some friends. I don't know. I thought it was like it looked very fun, and you don't really get. There's so many games coming out now, and it's always like massively online multiplayer, and you just don't
Yeah.
see co-op games anymore. Co-op
Yeah,
games are so
co-op needs
rare these days. Like
co-op needs to
the
come back.
last
I like
big
co-op.
co-op game that came out was like It Takes Two. That's about it, right? I mean, we had
Yeah.
the Starship Troopers game is co-op.
Oh,
We had
okay. Yeah, that's true.
the Aliens co-op game, wave shooter game.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm always like to look at co-op games. If this goes on sale, I might pick it up.
That's the thing, is like it seems like Paranoid's like I feel like It Takes Two is like the most unique. It's either like a Left 4 Dead. I guess I don't know. Maybe that's unfair to the alien stuff, but I don't know. I can't put it
No,
in like a
I
Left
think
4
a
Dead
lot
sort
of
of vibe.
a
See,
lot
Left
of
4 Dead or
co-op
like
games
something
that come out
different.
these days are very much that Left 4 Dead formula. You have games
Yeah.
like Dark Tide, Vermintide, Deep Rock
Yeah.
Galactic,
But It
Alien.
Takes Two is like something quite unique in that sense.
Alien Swarm, but Alien Swarm is a Left 4 Dead like game. Just nobody plays it.
Yeah.
The Lord of the Rings Golem came out on 25th
Oh my
of
fucking
May.
god, I forgot about this. Fucking hell.
Yeah, it is the worst rated game of 2023, and that is saying a lot considering
Why is it
the
so
releases we've had.
expensive?
Oh my
Ugh.
god! Did you see they put out? I was going to say about this later, but I'll say about it. They put out an apology and they misspelled like they said the Lord of the Ring or something like that. They didn't even remember the name of the game.
Was that was that like a
Where
black
is it?
white text JPEGs apology?
Yeah, it was one of those
Okay,
added to the
beautiful.
collection of artificially created apologies.
I didn't
Yeah,
actually read it.
We'd like to sincerely apologise for the underwhelming experience many of you have had with the Lord of Ring Golem.
Lord of Ring.
Like they had a fucking misspelling of the title of the game in their apology. Like, who's working on this right now?
Yeah, I mean, I know it's a smaller development, but yeah, they shouldn't have. I think I've seen like
Well, it's
like
Daedalic, right? Who they do a lot of like more indie stuff.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of people hypothesize that maybe it wasn't originally going to be a Golem game considering the mechanics, but then because
sort of
they
like
got but it would sell more if it was Golem when it got like taken up by the publisher. Yeah, be like you can like control or like maybe not control, but like tell other humans or other characters what to do.
Do you see any clips of this where you would look at people in the distance, they would turn to like literal 2D JPEGs and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Let's have a look. Unlike most reviews I've actually played to the end, so buckling up and e-tone about my suffering. When I heard that Daedalic got the rest of all the rings, I was so excited for. I've played a number of their point-and-click adventures, and they are masterly storytellers. So what happened? First off, the game runs having huge performance issues, awful controls and platforming, movement is stiff, prepare to die a lot from falling. But more than half the game is spent in like dungeons, barely moving the plot onwards.
You know, like
characters are gone as soon as they appear. Yeah.
There seem to be lots of invisible flaws in this game, where it's that you just like fall off and die like halfway up in the air.
Yeah, this game does not seem to have any redeeming features at all.
But like also like the other than like the inner turmoil between Gollum and what's his name? I always forget.
Smeagol.
Like other than that, like some of the gameplay, you look and go, why the hell is this in a Golem game? Is it why has it got a bird pet?
The Lord of Ring, Golem, great game. We have Lord of the Rings, Ring of Power on Amazon. Banger show. I can't wait to see Amazon's Lord of Ring MMO.
Yeah.
Gonna have to wait and see on that one. Next up, we have Hello Neighbor VR Search and Rescue. I didn't
Why
know
did you
Hello
put this
Neighbor was
in?
making a VR game, but apparently they didn't release it. They also only made it playable on the Quest 2, the Meta Quest Pro, and the Oculus Rift S2. Oculus Rift S, which I was like, I understand, get it on the Quest 2, it's the most popular headset on Steam, but the second most popular headset on Steam, I believe, is the Vive or the Index, and you don't support either of them, which is
Yeah, that's
like one
insane.
of the weirdest things you could do if you're going to release a VR game. Just completely ignore the other two huge market
Maybe they're gonna
places.
come
So.
later.
I
don't
think
know.
they basically, someone was complaining there was no like index support, and they said that it'll be coming later, but
It's a shame that Steam doesn't show that anymore. Or as
well,
very
Tony,
well.
you just have to read the description now, and it'll tell you which
Yeah.
headsets. They say Valve Index support coming soon.
Okay.
If we have a look at VR headsets, the Index is 17%. The Vive is 6%. I think the Vive Pro 1. Yeah, so
The index is quite high, all things considered, though.
yeah. You've got the Rift S and the Quest 2, which are very popular, but I mean, they're supporting which one was it? The Meta Quest Pro, which I believe is it even on the list at this point?
Maybe it's easy to do it from the Oculus Quest.
The Meta Quest Pro, I mean, nobody has. But I guess
Yeah,
the
but
idea was if you're going to make it on the Quest 2, it's probably easier to make it for the Meta Quest 2 as
yeah, I'm
well.
saying is it maybe just intercompatible with all of their ecosystem, maybe.
I mean, at that point, wouldn't you much rather like try and hit the Index or the Vive because they're actually?
Well, I'm just wondering if they just copy and paste it and go, "Oh, it happens to work on this," and
I
so
don't know. I digress. This game, I don't know. Fuck Hello Neighbor.
yeah, that's what I'm kind of that.
I don't know. Somebody said this is the only Hello Neighbor game that didn't disappoint me, which is an interesting take. So
Is that
maybe
because you had low expectations from the other Hello Neighbor games?
I mean, for me, Hello Neighbor has been a 4 kids horror game that is a boring, broken, run away from Nonce Next Door game.
Yeah, with no story.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
sorry. There's a story, just it's complete nonsense.
it's complete nonsense.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, they made that weird like car making game.
Yeah.
Wasn't it
Didn't that
Stadia
flop?
exclusive, and then it got cancelled?
Oh, was
I don't
it?
know.
Didn't it flop immediately or something?
I don't know. I just think Hello Neighbor is really popular on YouTube because kids, and then they're like, well, if
Yeah.
people like it, let's keep making Hello Neighbor. Because it was an interesting idea. It was like,
Yeah.
oh, well, let's make a horror stealth game where you have to keep breaking into your neighbor's house, but every time you break in, he will change the house around, so you have to break in a different way, sort of thing. He adapts to how you
And it
break.
would slowly I'd always thought that I'd slowly unveil a story by the changes he makes or something, but that didn't seem to be what happened.
But then what ends up happening is he just gets. You need the AI system in place to make that actually work. And once that happens, he just starts walking into a wall over and over again, which is something I experienced where it's just completely broken most of the time. But I don't know, man. There's your VR game for weird VR game.
Oh, yeah, it's true.
System Shock, May 30th, the remaster of System Shock from Night Dive. It's been like fucking like 10 years or something crazy like that since the Kickstarter started. When System Shock Kickstarter, when did this start? It went into development like a long time ago.
Yeah, it's been a long ass time.
Have a look. It has been 7 years, I think, since this went up. Holy moly. Yeah, I believe 2016 is
Crazy.
when the Kickstarter started.
Yeah, that's insane. That's like big modding projects like Sky Oblivion sort of timescale.
They announced in end of 2015. So yeah, this has been like a long time coming, but man, I played the demo and I was really happy from what I saw from the demo, and it seems like people are really enjoying the full game itself. I've heard people say like this is like a great immersive sim game to play right now. So
Oh, it seems things are similar to Halo. I think that's 100% correct.
I backed this on Kickstarter in 2016. I didn't expect to have to wait until 2023, but it was worth it. I'm having a lot of fun.
Yeah.
The system runs well on 2013 hardware, man. Okay, it's optimized. I mean, it's Night Dive magic, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
it's faithful to the original game, and it runs like a treat on. I think it's Unreal Engine 4 as well. It's not the Kex engine, which they usually use for like the Quake remaster or the Power Slave remaster or whatever that they do. They usually put that into the Kex engine, but they
Yeah,
actually
considering for
fully
this
did this in Unreal
ground
Engine
up.
4.
Yeah.
Which is cool to see. But yeah, it looks great. I've heard its flaws are that it's so faithful to the original that its
Right.
flaws are that it is faithful. Like that people are saying, oh, a lot of the levels are very labyrinth-like, and I was getting lost, and I was like, well, they could change that, but then they would be changing the original
Yeah.
game. So it's that's a debate.
Yeah, I think they did the right thing about the map complexity personally.
Next up, so yeah, System Shock. That's okay. Fuck, sorry, I want to play this. I'm gonna have to pick that
Yeah.
up. Friend v Friend came out on the 30th of May. I've been thinking about picking this up because it's gone on a launch sale of like £5, and I watched someone streaming. I was like, oh, it's pretty fun. Maybe I should just pick that up and play it for a bit. And then I only spent like £5, I guess.
What's the
Uh,
actual premise of this one?
it's basically like 1v1 PvP.
Okay.
You essentially just go into a match against somebody, but you have a stack of cards which give you power ups and then also affect your opponent. And
Right.
basically, you just like you choose a deck, and then it's basically like you basically use power ups in the middle of the fight. So it's like, oh, I'm going to use this power up, and now my enemy has a giant head, and I'm going to try and shoot him in the head. Or you
That's
go,
good, that's
oh, I'm
good.
going to use this power up where my gun fires really fast, or I get like an ice block, so I'm going to block your big powerful move. And it's like you're trying to use power ups, but also counter your enemy's power ups and stuff by using these cards you draw from a deck. I was like, that sounds pretty interesting, and it looks pretty fun.
Yeah.
It seems like it could just be another one of those. Just pick it up and play it for a little bit for not much money, and then forget about it. The knockout city of this year, Friends v Friends.
Right. We'll get it while it's still going, I suppose.
It'll be like insanely fun for like a couple of weeks, and then you'll forget
Yeah.
about it, and then it'll close down.
I guess that makes sense to get it sooner rather than later.
Polybridge 3 came out on May 30th. It looks like Polybridge 1 and 2, but it looks more 3D. Those are my notes for Polybridge 3. I don't
Yeah,
know.
it looks more interesting terrain, I suppose, more
Aesthetically.
interesting locations.
Yeah. I mean, I guess if you like
It's still just
Polybridge, you can
Polybridge,
play
but
Polybridge again. It's like Polybridge 2, but 3er. There it is.
yeah.
It seems like I started playing Polybridge, I think it was 1, and then I quit because I was like, this is fucking ridiculous. I don't like this. It
Yeah,
felt like,
I don't know if they solved this with like in the later ones, but yeah, I played the one that's I didn't like the janky solutions. It just wasn't
yeah.
satisfying to me.
When
Like I
you
could
look,
do them, but it's like I just
I'll look
hated
at the
it.
solution and it's like, oh, this is so janky. Like, I can't believe this
Yeah,
is.
because to me, those janky ones are like for high scores, like the absolute minimum to get like the exact number of cards. I was like, fine, but that shouldn't be like the solution to win.
1st of June, we love Katamari Reroll plus Royal Reverie came out. The remaster of the second Katamari game is on Steam again. I have the first game. I've been wanting to play it recently, actually, so maybe I'll be playing it at some point soon. and it seems like it works really well on the PC and the Steam Deck. It seems like it's another good remaster from those guys, so that's cool to see.
On the deck.
On the deck. Oh,
Yeah.
Slayer's X Terminal Aftermath, Vengeance of the Slayer came out on June 1st. This is from the Hypnospace Outlaw game. I don't know if you remember, it was like a very popular point and click, like 90s PC sort of game. But they've taken. It's set in the same cinematic. It was an indie game. It was set in the same cinematic universe, and we have Slayer's X. It is a boomer shooter set as if somebody found a computer from the 90s with someone's unfinished, shooter game on it. And
Right.
I did a Tangerine on this actually. I think it was in a demo fest, and I talked about it. It's pretty fun. This is another one where it's like looks can be deceiving. You might look at this and go, "This looks awful," but it's sort of intentionally the design. It's meant to look like, some kids retro shooter game back in the day. I guess not retro back in the day, but yeah. And I've heard very good things about it. So it looks pretty positive, so that's cool to see. But he said, buy Hypnospace Outlaw, then play this game. No More Rainbows came out on June 1st. This was the Gorilla Tag movement game that I played during the Steam Demo Fest that I said was really good. Taking the Gorilla Tag movement and putting it into a single-player platforming game. I thought that was a really, really good idea, and it worked really well from when I played it. See what people are saying. Very fun old school platforming. Slam my controller into a wall, 10 out of 10. Yeah. Great game. The multiplayer is very fun. I wish there was more maps, though. I didn't know it had multiplayer. How does the multiplayer work? Online PvP. How does the multiplayer work? Play an exciting 3v3 multiplayer mode with or against friends to show off your skills in 12 different battle arenas. Gather accolades and collect cosmetics to stand out from the crowd. Oh, so there's like a battle mode as well. That's cool.
This game was about collecting things.
Yeah, and then there's also like a battle because that wasn't in the demo, so I didn't get to try that out. But that sounds really fun. One of the reviews said Gorilla Tag if it was a story game, which I think is quite funny.
Yeah. Sounds great.
Yeah, it looks really good. I really want to play the full game. I am waiting for the new Quest. I was going to say I'm waiting for the new headsets to come out. I've been looking at the Quest 3. I'm going to wait for more information about that, but that could be the next VR headset I'm investing in.
I'm waiting for the PSVR 2 to be hacked.
Oh, that's going to be... Even if it does get hacked, there's going to be such an awful user experience.
Yeah, I know. I just kind of wish they made that for because I feel like, it doesn't have like an untethered mode, but I feel like that's kind of what the stuff that I want.
We'll talk about my thoughts on the Quest 2 later, but yeah, this game's really fun. Quick news: Amnesia: The Dark Descent just got workshop support 10 years later, so you can now download mods for Amnesia: The Dark Descent, Tony, from the workshop.
I swear there were already attempts at trying to mod this originally.
I think there is a lot of mods for Amnesia, but it was just you had to download it third-party sort of thing.
It's like manually drag in.
I think this was to try and advertise Amnesia: The Bunker, which I've just read reviews on. Apparently, it's quite good. People are saying that they like the change in direction of the game, where the original Amnesia games are very much walking simulators, but this is more sort of FPS, sort of like Resident Evil, where you have like very limited ammo and you have to like sort of try and fight the monster with your limited resource, that makes me way more interested in the new Amnesia game than any Amnesia game that's come out so far. So we'll have to wait and see. We'll talk about Amnesia: The Bunker when that releases on the next podcast. Me and you were talking recently about the DualShock controller. sorry,
Yes.
DualSense controller for the
Yes.
PS5, and we're saying
Oh, I do have an update on that actually.
most of the games, if you want to use the haptic feedback or the adaptive triggers, it has to be plugged in, wired to be able to use that. Marvel
Yeah.
Spider-Man Remastered just put out, and Miles Morales just put out a patch. Now you can have DualSense adaptive trigger support wirelessly via Bluetooth. So it's one of the few games now that actually supports the DualSense
Yeah.
adaptive
So
triggers via Bluetooth.
I did actually see this in my my attempt. Obviously, I do not own the Spider-Man game, so I couldn't test it
I don't
myself.
know the media.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I installed Metro Exodus Enhanced Edition just to test this, right? It was very weird because the gyroscopic stuff worked.
Yeah.
The touch sensitive middle worked as a mouse.
Yeah.
The vibration motors worked. This is all wirelessly.
Yeah.
But apparently the haptic triggers were meant like a part of the game don't work, and I couldn't get it to work plugged in or otherwise. But that wasn't even my biggest problem. I realized you're not meant to like I'm playing an FPS game on a controller. Like that's awful, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm fine. But I do not expect when I hold a button down to it to be rapidly spazzing out and like clicking a button. Like I would press like on so Metro Exodus on the controller, the D-pad left is like turn your flashlight on and off.
Yeah.
And if you hold it, you get out your lighter. I could not get out my lighter. I had to use my keyboard to get the lighter out because if I just like held it down, it would just like flash the flashlight like quicker than a human could turn a light on and off. It was going absolutely mental. I did not understand what was going on. So I'm gonna put that down as partial controller support.
Partial controller support.
Despite it can technically
this is for Metro Exodus Enhanced Edition.
Yes.
Right.
Which I had to turn really far down on my 2080 to
Well,
get
like
to not to shit
another
the
interesting
card.
thing about these patch notes is so I got a 43-inch 4K TV for my bedroom recently because I wanted to watch TV and stuff in there, like
In
before bed
bed
or whatever. Yeah. But I've been
Yeah.
plugging my Steam Deck. I plugged my Steam Deck into the TV, and I was using the PS5 controller as a wireless controller for playing games off the Steam Deck on the TV. Like I played Turnip Boy Commits Tax Evasion for a bit, like half an hour before bed on there. That was quite a good experience. But with this patch note as well, the DualSense adaptive triggers feedback is now available with Steam input, meaning I could wirelessly use the adaptive triggers on the PS5 controller
nice.
from my Steam Deck on my TV, which is like
that's really cool.
To people thinking, well, if you're sat at your PC playing with the controller, you can just plug it in. But if I'm in bed playing it from a Steam Deck on my PS5 controller, it's pretty important that you have these features available wirelessly because you're not going to be plugged into your Steam Deck with the controller. So this is nice to see. Next up, we have KOTOR remake still in development. Embrace the Saves. I don't know if you remember this. They were doing a remake of KOTOR. We've had reported recently that
I have information.
They were putting Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 2 on the Nintendo Switch, and they were going to build restored content DLC for the Switch, which restores the old content they wanted to add to the game as a DLC for the game. But it's been completely cancelled now. Yeah, so I don't know what's going on.
Is this confirmed cancelled?
Yeah, the Aspia Media tweeted about this. Apparently, so if you purchased Knights of the Old Republic 2 on the Nintendo Switch before this announcement, you can basically get a replacement key for the game on Steam, the first game on Switch, The Force Unleashed on the Switch, Republic Commando on Switch.
This was more of the remaster with like re-adding the cut content back in, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The two. Because I heard stuff about
but
the remake of the first game, right?
Yeah.
So apparently, I had to caveat with where I got this information from. It's like a Star Wars YouTube guy who happened to know someone in the development team of like the original development team, because it's now been moved to another Embracer development team now.
Right.
So this development team was like handcrafted, but this is before Embracer got them. I think it was like handcrafted with like some veterans from the original KOTOR,
Yeah.
and then there's like, and then like all. I'm gonna paraphrase here, but like this is just some. So take this with a grain of salt, because it's just like one guy saying that he knew a guy who's like recounting this. So apparently Sony got involved, and that then caused problems, and they then fired their their lead devs, and then and from that point on, like things started to hit the fan. And then Jason Schreier put out an article, because like one of the devs went to him, and then this report was saying like, oh, KOTOR remake has been cancelled, and it's like, which wasn't true apparently.
Yeah.
And also the other thing that the report that Jason Schreier has is like, apparently all the content that this original dev team made has been scrapped. Yeah. And apparently that's not true. It's been moved to a new development studio, a younger, like inexperienced development studio, like leaving like this team that really wanted to make it in the dust. But apparently they have kept all the old content, and it's like it just like a very weird, and like it sounds like an upper management like completely mismanaging everything to me, if what this guy says is true. Because obviously Jason Schreier has a good track record, and this guy's saying that Jason Schreier is wrong. But the way I'd have to re-find the video and send it, I think, or like link it. But yeah, like some of the way he described it, like it seems tangible. It seemed plausible that from Jason Schreier's that limited information that it could have gone like the wrong end of the stick from a single developer source. But yeah, it's just like it seems like a whole shit show has like been unraveled since the end of last year.
Yeah. Apparently,
which really sucks.
The creator of the Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic content or restored content mod basically came out and said that Aspyr didn't do anything wrong. You can quote me on that. It's a shame it ended this way. I've had nothing good to say about Aspyr and our cooperation over the past 8 years. The modder made it clear that the cancellation had nothing to do with the higher-ups not wanting to give credit to the modding team. I made the mod. The above is 100% false, and I'm sad. But so many outfits because that rumour is going to spread. Aspyr was great to work with, and they offered to credit the whole team long before I even asked about it.
Yeah, Aspyr seemed really cool. I think they've been fucked by upper management or like higher ups, like within like subsidiaries and stuff.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I never played this game. I don't even apparent because I really want to play the remake. Apparently, Star Wars Knights of the Republic 2, there's a cut content mod that re-adds cut content, and it's recommended to not even play the game without this mod. It's like one of the first mods that they're like, if you're going to play the game, install this mod. Basically,
if you know,
so they wanted to add it.
Kind of like cutting.
They wanted to add it to the Switch version so that people could easily access it on their portable system. But I guess you just got to get on the Steam Deck now. Oh, by the way, with the Marvel Morales and Spider-Man stuff, controller, speaker, and haptic feedback, a wired USB connection is still required. This is just for the adaptive triggers.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of Jason Schreier, so Naughty Dog, Jason Schreier put out an article recently saying Naughty Dog has significantly scaled down the team of the Last of Us multiplayer project. I don't know if you remember, The Last of Us was making a multiplayer project.
I remember being a weird.
Sources say as it reassesses the game. Following Bloomberg's request for comment, the company put out a Twitter statement today saying the game was delayed. So apparently there was a source saying, oh, they've scaled back the multiplayer Last of Us game. They asked Naughty Dog for a comment, and then Naughty Dog was like, we've delayed it. They just like publicly came out and said it's being delayed. So it seems like something is going on with the multiplayer Last of Us game, whether that has anything to do with the state that we saw of the Last of Us on PC, or sharing dev teams between that, or whatever. You know, this is just speculation, but yeah.
Have they fixed that yet?
They have made like medium textures way better. And
Okay.
they've made some stuff better, but they also introduced shader compilation issues with some of the
Oh, okay.
like
Well,
they've gone like in some places they've gone a step forward, and other places they've gone a step back.
yeah.
But like 8 GB VRAM cards should have a much better experience now, and medium textures look really good. They were like completely broken,
Yeah,
basically.
because I saw some people with 8 GB cards and not even able to play the game at all. So it's like, I guess this is much better for that. Even if you have to either stutter or waiting for shader compilations. So
But it seems to be it's in a much better state now. But
okay,
they're still
but
making
not perfect.
patches, and there's still more to go. Yeah.
Okay.
Knockout City Private Server Edition is now available. We saw that Knockout City was being closed, and they basically said, "Look, it's not as popular as it once was. We're basically going to be sunsetting the game, but because it's multiplayer only, we're going to make it so you can host your own private servers if you want to keep playing the game, which is fucking awesome." So now there's a download link, and you can download a high-res version which contains all the high-resolution textures, a low-res version for lower specs PCs, and then you can download the game basically, and then there's a version where you can download to host the game, where you can host your own private server, which is really really cool.
Yeah,
And
that's
in this
really cool.
edition of the game, basically, you create your own rules on your server. You basically get access to all the cosmetics, all of the playlists, and everything now. So
Okay, that's cool.
pretty
When
much
did
the
this
game,
game come out again?
2021, I believe.
21. Okay.
Yeah, I'll
Kind
check
of
that to you.
sad, 2 years on, but at least it lives on, or it can live on.
Valheim put out a statement regarding mods recently. Valheim mods have been pretty popular, and Valheim wanted to give their take on people using modded content and what they do with it. Basically, said we support people who make mods, but make sure to put that it is an unofficial mod, that it's not officially endorsed by Valheim themselves. And the big thing they wanted to say was we feel that charging money for a mod is against the creative and open spirit of modding.
Yeah.
Um, you can't. They basically said you can't paywall mod content, even like early access to mod content. Um,
Right.
Basically, you can accept as many donations as you would like. So if people want to choose to support your modding efforts, that's fine. But they don't want it to get to a point where people can't access mods of their game because they can't afford to buy them, basically, which is fair enough.
Yeah. So like
Which
Minecraft mods were going at one
which is
point.
usually my preferred way to do it. I
Yeah.
like you can go back to my video on my YouTube channel talking about paid mods on Steam
Yeah.
with the Skyrim, and basically I was saying like, I think paid mods are dumb, but I'm very happy to have donation buttons on Steam, for example. I think that would be a
Yeah.
really, really good idea
Yeah. That'd
to
be
allow
great.
people to choose to support modders.
It'd be hilarious if you could support them by gifting them a game on Steam. I just give them bad rants.
Bad Rats 2, baby.
It's
So there's kind of a big news from the League of Legends esports, the NA esports league, the
just a
LCS.
solemn JPEG.
A stolen JPEG? What?
No, solemn.
Solemn?
Yeah, that's the black background, white text
Oh,
name
okay.
for
The
the
announcement.
JPEG
Uh,
item.
the LCS Players Association voted overwhelmingly to walk out after actions were taken by Riot without proper communications. So this is in response to the LCS team owners voting to remove the NA Academy League. So the NA League for League of Legends esports had a two-tier system, right? It
Hmm.
had the main league, which was the LCS, and then underneath, every team was required to field an academy team, where the idea was you would get young up and coming talent, and then eventually, when they proved that they could play to a certain level, you would move them up to the big league. And Riot had rules where you could freely move your players between your academy team and your main team, um, which would allow up and coming talent to
Yeah,
move in and
to
out.
be competition and keeping people at the top, and
With the previous rules, the LCS teams are contractually required to field a team for that academy team. Basically, the LCS owners, they're paying $10 million a spot to get into this, and they're like, we don't want to keep. Esports is sort of like a huge bubble right now, and
Yeah.
they're basically just like, we do not want to keep paying for these academy players, especially the NALCS league is notorious for wanting, instead of developing North American talent, they just go and buy European players, Korean players, Chinese players. They just go and buy the better players with their bigger wallets usually, is how they do it. And like basically the players, the North American players are like, well, if they keep buying players from other leagues and they scrap the academy league where you get NA talent coming in, eventually all of our jobs are pretty much just going to be gone, right?
Yeah.
So they've basically staged this walkout to make sure that North American talent and gets a shot and is able to keep competing in the league, which is again, it's a franchise league, so there is no like relegation or anything like. So like in American sports, like the National Football League, you buy a slot and then you're in there forever. So if you come last, nothing happens, but it allows you to retain fans and you have security. Whereas in football,
here.
like soccer, Premier League or something, it's a tier system. So you have like the bottom team goes down, gets relegated, and the top team gets advanced and goes up, right? Gets promoted.
Yeah. So there's always competition to try and not fall.
So they basically said, we're not going to play, because it was happening on Thursday last week, and the LCS teams are contractually required to field the team. So they were basically like, we've got to find more players. So the teams, all of the players in the Players Association were saying, we're not going to play. So they were trying to sign any players they could. So they went to like the amateur leagues and the academy leagues and basically like, none of these players are willing to cross the picket line because they're the people who the picket line is for, so they're not going to scab. And then the teams got granted permission to sign additional players post-roster lock, and the LCS Players Association was working to mitigate signings. They're basically saying, like, don't sign this, don't cross the picket line, don't scab. There used to be a Diamond 5 rank requirement for fielding a player. I believe it's like Diamond 5 or something. And apparently this has been removed. The funniest thing I saw was people saying, "Yeah, I'm a Bronze 5 player. I'm ready to go in. I will play in the LCS. I'm ready to cross the picket line." But basically, this was going to happen on Thursday. I was like, well, who the fuck's going to play? This is insane. Riot put out a response to this. They said, the league has been delayed by 2 weeks. If players don't play, the league will be cancelled and they will lose their spot at the World Championship, which is the big tournament that everybody is playing for. And they basically said, we're giving $300K to the new North American Challenger League, which is their new like amateur academy-ish league thing that they're working with third-party people that the teams don't have to support at all, but they're giving them money to help transition over from academy. So that was Riot's response, was like, you don't play in 2 weeks, forget about, we'll just cancel the entire fucking league. So it seems like, I don't know what's going to happen, like who's going to crack first, but this just seems like we've gone nuclear at this point, where...
Well, I'm hoping a compromise can be made, where it's like slightly... Because that's like... Obviously compromise, no one like will get what their way, but at least it's like a direction and like it's not complete mess. I'm not saying that the people who are on strike should necessarily stop after that.
No, it's a players' association and they're doing a workout. This is not a union. But I think it's very funny that we're actually seeing in North America, of all places, like collective bargaining being used against an organization. You know what's really funny?
I need to see more of it.
Riot started the Players Association because the players couldn't be bothered to do it, and it was like a meme thing for the longest time, where they couldn't be. Basically, they would elect the most popular player to lead it, and then they wouldn't do anything with it. And it seems like that actually, right? It's kind of started their own demise now with this sort of thing, where they're actually going,
Yeah.
"Hey, wait a minute, maybe we should actually use our collective bargaining power to actually use this players' association to try and make positive changes to the league."
Yeah.
Um,
Well, if it's only useful when you need it, it's only useful when you need it.
I just I haven't watched League Esports in a long time. I used to watch it like religiously for like up till like a couple of years ago, but I stopped playing the game like for 6 years ago or some even more than that, and I just kept watching the esports, and I was like, I don't play the game at this point. I'm gonna, it takes up a lot of time, so I was like, I'm gonna do something else with my time. But I thought this was really interesting because this is the first time I've ever seen in esports like an actual full league walkout to try
Yeah,
and make a
that is
change to
huge.
stuff, which is kind of crazy. So good luck to those guys, and I'll keep you updated on this when I find. I guess it's another week and a half until the cut-off point for scrapping the entire league, so we'll wait and see what happens. I thought you could tell me about this, Tony. The Trails and Tales update is coming on June 7th. That's 2 days from now
Yeah,
if you're watching live.
yeah,
It's
couple of days.
mostly cosmetic, right? You got the raft,
Yeah, so there's a new biome. There's the cherry blossoms.
the
They
bamboo and
added
cherry
so there's actually
sets.
cherry boats and the raft boats. No, there's some big change. Well, I guess it is cosmetic, but it's kind of a big change. So you'll be able to now find. Oh, yeah, the sniffer. Actually, I thought the sniffer because I've seen the sniffer now. So yeah, there's a new mob from the mob vote. I don't know if you remember the sniffer. But
Is
like,
that the monstrosity I'm seeing that's got like
yeah,
a green thing on its back and a yellow beak?
yeah, it sniffs. Its animation is kind of funny actually. It's like a big, slow sniffing thing. It finds ancient seeds and like other like it's like they've added. I think it's two. I think we were expecting three plants, but they only added two, which is kind of a shame because the
I don't
third
know
plant was really cool.
if you've seen this at all, but I saw a video on Reddit that said about armor trims or something coming
Yeah,
in the
yeah, I
next
was gonna get into
update.
that. Yeah, so this update adds armor trims, which are like kind of rare. They're in like dungeon loots, and like some of them are very rare. Like one of them is like you have to like go into the warden area,
1%
right?
drop chance, I believe it. They said in the video.
Yeah, some of them are a lot more. I don't know. I think they still need to change because the crazy thing is that you need to find like there's different shapes, right? So you can apply it to any armor, and like you can
Yeah.
then you can like you don't dye it. You have to apply like a gem to it. Like I think redstone counts as a gem. Here. So you can apply like a diamond or an emerald or a redstone or a lapis to it to be able to like change the color of it. And it's like lots of different lots of different shapes being applied to the armor, but like it's a one-use thing. Like, so if you get a template, you have to then like use it in the upgrading thing, which is a new I can't remember what it's called, like, upgrading work table or something. But it's like one use, and it costs a lot of diamonds to duplicate. And it's like, surely for some of these patterns, like it should be maybe multiple uses before it gets used. So I don't know. We'll have to see what other community says because not I think people have been playing snapshots for sure, but I don't think the wider community is like really like
What's the update
touched it
after
yet.
this that's coming out? Do we know yet?
No, I don't know anything. They added everything to this one. And they added some. There is some archaeology stuff in here actually, which is
Yeah. How
interesting.
does archaeology work?
So you can now craft a brush, which requires I think a stick, copper, and a feather. I think. There's going to be like new ruins. Like I think some of the old like so. Do you remember like the pyramid temple in the desert and then the jungle temple in the jungle? There's going to be a new one I think in like more hilly areas. I think it might be able to be anywhere. And also the underwater structures will also have this. There's going to be something called suspicious sand and suspicious
Yeah,
gravel.
I did see about that.
And you can get templates from here, but like that it's very rare. But there's like a new ancient like I don't know what you call it, like
You can
an
get a sniffer egg as well.
yeah, that's one of the ones. That's how you get the sniffer, which again is like locks two unique. Well, I don't know. It locks two new plants that only the sniffer can get. So
Oh, that's huge.
It's kind of, and they don't drop their own seeds, so like you kind of have like the kind of rare plant system, which is kind of cool. But yeah, it's kind of just like an exploration thing. The pots are kind of cool. The pot fragments, or as they've called them, which is apparently a real thing, but they're not shards, they're sherds.
Shirts.
And who left a sherd in the toilet is why.
Which one of you took a sherd in the pot and didn't flush it?
I know, like you search for it, it's like, okay, that's technically what they call it. They should have just called it a pottery shard. I'm gonna be honest with you, it's too memeable now. So, but no, yeah, it's about. I don't know why it's a trail update. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, I don't know why it's a tail thing either. Like, it's just like, to me, it's like it's an enhanced beauty. It's a world beauty update, I suppose, with some cosmetics, which is cool. Oh, there's the hanging signs. I don't know if you saw that. Those are really cool.
They said something about signs.
So you can edit
You can
signs and you
hang
can write
signs
text.
now.
Yeah, you can edit text on. Like, this is for the normal signs
People
as well.
were creating like these hanging patterns out of signs, like multicolored signs sort of stuff.
Yeah, those are the different
Quite
wood
cool.
types. Yeah, but you can so you can edit a sign at any time until you commit it. Basically, I can't remember how you commit it now, but it's kind of like a book in that regard. Until you like sign it, you can keep editing, and you can edit both sides independently, which is kind of cool.
Okay.
So like it's just like like there's so many times that you're trying to write a sign like, oh shit, I misspelled, you have to destroy it and like replace it, right? So it's kind of nice you can edit it now, which is really cool.
For me,
But yeah, it's just
I'm just trying to wait for the next big like juicy content. You know, like
there's
with
not
like the Nether update or the Warden stuff, like that
This
sort of
is
stuff.
definitely
Like,
a smaller one.
yeah.
This is more like a bees one, but I'm personally waiting for more mechanical content added to the Warden stuff. Like I think the blocks you get from it is really cool, but I think like combat wise and like interaction with the Warden and like the deep dark biome, I want more, and I want like more of like that story and mystery to be explored.
Yeah.
I hope they do that next. I know like it's been a big undertaking to even get like the deep dark and the Warden into the game in the first place.
We need to go because I'm just looking at the docket and thinking, man, we haven't covered anything yet.
Yeah,
Emulation
so that's
Retro,
Minecraft.
Nintendo blocks quotation mark Steam release of Wii Dolphin, a Wii emulated Dolphin. So this was reported and everyone was saying Nintendo's DMCA'd Dolphin. I immediately was like, that's not true.
Yeah.
This is not a DMCA. Basically, the way I've heard it is Valve Legal asked Nintendo if they would be cool with Dolphin being on Steam before it went up. And then they wrote back and said, nah, we don't want that on Steam. And then Valve was like, okay.
It kind of sucks they don't stick to their guns. Like it's like the rationale given is that it's technically what was it, like a Wii U key that's technically owned by
Okay, so
Nintendo, but
the a previous treasurer of Dolphin chimed in on this, and he basically said Dolphin does include Wii encryption keys, which the software with the software, which could get them in trouble for being copyrighted.
right.
So in order to decrypt the keys, it includes the encryption keys with the software. Popular emulators like Yuzu, Reginix, Citra, these require you to dump your own like firmware files and stuff like that in order to get around this copyright stuff. So they basically say, we don't have a single piece of copyright content. Whether that would be under fair use,
it is just a key after all. Like it's not actually like it is for a certain thing, but like, can you claim that they own that specific key?
Yeah,
like that's a bit weird.
I mean, if they took out the encryption keys, it would make it a little bit harder for people to set up Dolphin. But if they did that and then went
legal.
back and said, basically, look, you need to find a way to dump your own encryption keys or find them somewhere else.
But if Valve is now scared to do this, is there any chance of it coming back?
Basically, they put out... So Dolphin put out a statement on their blog saying they're looking into what they can do.
Right. Like what Valve what allow them to do.
Yeah, I mean, Dolphin emulator still exists on their website. They're still installable through Steam through EmuDeck for the Steam Deck. So you can still play Dolphin Emulator on SteamOS, just not officially supported.
Yeah.
But this would have been a boon to a lot of people who it would have added one less layer of friction between that, and the idea of cloud saves through Steam would have been really, really cool.
Yeah.
They wrote on their blog, it was much disappointing that we announced that the Dolphin and Steam release has been indefinitely postponed. We were notified by Valve and Nintendo had issued a cease and desist, citing the DMCA against Dolphin Steam page. They have removed Dolphin Steam until the matter is settled. We are currently investigating our options. Have a more in-depth response in the near future. We appreciate patience in the meantime. So I believe this is not the full story, like the DMCA stuff, but
yeah,
we'll have to wait and see. At the moment, we're just waiting.
It's not on Steam.
It's not. It was meant to be coming out on Steam on the 30th, but it's been indefinitely delayed. You can still get it off Steam.
That's the actual fact.
All right, guys. I would love to say fuck Slam Dunk, fuck Nintendo. They DMCA Dolphin, but there's a lot of gray area here. When it seems Valve Valve kind of blocks Dolphin being on Steam, and then also Dolphin's not 100% in the clear when it comes to copyright stuff. But that's a fair use discussion.
Yeah,
they should probably remove that and get you to dump your own keys. But
so I can't be mad at Valve either, because if they have those keys and no company wants to deal with the gray area, having to actually go through it and lose. So it's what do you do? So I don't know. I can't be mad at anyone.
I should have called out that was Emulation Retro news. Steam news. Steam now shows 30-day low price in some European Union countries to comply with the Omnibus Directive. If you don't know what the Omnibus Directive, don't worry, I didn't either. I told ChatGPT to explain it to me like I was 5. So here is the Omnibus Directive. I asked ChatGPT to explain it to me like I'm 5, and then described GDPR to me, and I said, that sounds like GDPR, which is not the Omnibus Directive. It then apologized to me, and then I asked Bing ChatGPT to explain it to me, and Bing ChatGPT explained it to me perfectly. So,
isn't that a GPT of 410 if you're on Bing?
I think Bing is connected to the internet, whereas ChatGPT is not. It's using a local network.
Fair enough.
So, the idea of the Omnibus Directive, it came out, I think it was proposed in 2018, it was passed through in 2020. They basically wanted increased transparency on digital goods approved in 2020. The directive says perishable items are excluded in the implementation of the national law. But for anything else, it only concerns promotions and sales, especially when a lowered price is being advertised, as you can often see on Steam. This law doesn't actually apply for price increases. So when a Steam sale is going on in these European countries where this EU directive is in place, it will show you how much it's gone on sale for, just to try and be to make sure you have as much information as possible. The whole idea of it is to give the consumer as much information as possible to be hey, this seems like a good deal, but actually it's not that much cheaper than it was a couple of days ago. This is trying to, help you see if it actually is a good deal. I've been doing this for years through third-party extensions like SteamDB and Enhanced Steam, or the Augmented Steam. Is that the forked version of it?
Yeah, Augmented.
But
it's nice to have it in the actual app itself.
The reason they pushed this through was because failure to comply with the requirement of the directive may result in a fine of up to 4% of the annual turnover of the company in the EU member state where the violation occurred. So this is why they've started to put this on those European Union countries.
Yeah, those percentage fines, those socialist European countries.
Well, hopefully we'll be seeing iPhones with USB-C ports and third-party app stores on them. So
yeah, that isn't being throttled by some sort of Apple chip because they saw right through that bollocks.
Blunders. Duke Nukem Remaster criticized for AI-generated cover art. It's from an artist, bro. So niche retro gaming brand Blaze Entertainment, creator of the handheld Evercade, revealed a remaster of Duke Nukem 1 and 2. If you don't know what those are the platforming Duke Nukems. They were going to remaster them and put them on this retro handheld device. They posted a cover art which was quickly pointed out was AI generated. I'm going to show you it now because people zoomed in on the hands and were like, yeah, he's definitely got too many thumbs there. Or the finger's like clipping through the gun, which is something AI generated stuff fucks up all the time. It really struggles with hands.
It also struggles with eyes sometimes.
To which the company responded with, which they basically said, no, this isn't AI generated. We paid an artist to do this. But then they doubled down in support of the commissioned artist, and then Blaze has since posted a statement from developing studio Blaze Entertainment acknowledging the original image was AI generated, adding that it will be commissioning a new piece of art to replace it where possible. An artist was commissioned to replace a lead image of the new Duke Nukem 1-2 remaster game developed by Blaze Entertainment. The statement reads, it has abundantly clear from the response on social media that the work of this commission has fallen below the expectations and standards demanded by fans due to the artist's use of AI in the process. It seems like, from what they're saying, they paid an artist, the artist used AI to generate it, they got back and went, oh, this looks cool, we'll put this out, and then people were like, that's AI generated, and they went, no, it's not, we paid an artist, and then they later found out that the artist used AI.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you, if I was shown this, I wouldn't have looked that closely at the double thumbs, I would just gone, oh, that's really cool. So I
you post anything on the internet, on Twitter, you're immediately going to be completely dissected apart for any mistakes.
Yeah. My question is, obviously there's like an ethical issue is like, obviously like trained data has been put into these AIs that like aren't like legally they don't own, and like there should be some sort of compensation and like had to ask be added to it. But let's pretend that that's all licensed correctly and that's all fair for a second. Would that then make it fine, other than the lying of the artist as well?
Yeah.
But would it be fine if it wasn't AI generated image? Like, what's the actual?
Yeah. So this is
the only problem that like it's fucking over real artists the way they've collected and put it into the trained AI.
My stance on AI right now is that personally, I am not affected by AI generated art, and I don't have a huge issue with people using it. But
I think the only problem I have with AI is what I've said is like the way that they trained it illegally without like taking not buying it or getting a license, which I think you should have. Like I think there's a thing where it's like technically like a human. I'm pretending humans and AI for a second here. Like a human technically is like influenced or like inspired by other art, and they'll make stuff in their own vein but similar to art.
The problem is we've seen people like Europe and America. People in Europe and America have tried to pass laws to take ownership back of memes, of people posting memes with copyrighted images in them, and go, no, that you can't post an image of Boromir going, one does simply not walk into Mordor because Warner Brothers owns the rights to that, so you then have to pay some sort of tiny fee to them. It's like, and everyone was like, that's fucking ridiculous. We've been doing this for 10 to 15 years. We've already opened Pandora's box. There's no going back now. The problem with the AI art is it's just started to come out, and Pandora's box has been opened, and people are going, well, it's only been open for a little bit. Let's try and close the box. But I think we're starting to get past the point of no return with like AI-generated models being trained on data.
Yeah, I will say this. I think my opinion on this is, I think, yes, it was wrong the way they trained the AI, but I think we have to accept what's already come out. Or we make it, or we say it's illegal for the current models of AI and they have to retrain it.
The problem is you can police people, right? Like you can cut that. You can say to people, don't use this meme that has copyrighted stuff in it.
Yeah.
Which I'm going back to that example. But the problem is the AI is using algorithms, and the problem with algorithms is the AI doesn't know why it's doing what it's doing and why, and the
Well,
engineers
no,
who made the AI and the algorithms don't know why it's doing the things it's doing and
I
why,
don't.
and it's just going through different iterations.
Yeah, but I would argue if we're saying that it wasn't allowed to import as an input. Again, yes, we don't know what the internals mean or what they do. Like, obviously, we can get, well, they can. We can't, as a public, see this. But even then, even because it doesn't make a difference. But I think the input of it, like scalping the internet for this art to train the data, I think is illegal. So either we say there's a
Yeah, I
global
mean,
reset on AI from
there's
companies.
we're going to be seeing a lot more stuff. Like we had people were getting upset at Night Dive because before System Shock came out, they put up some AI generated art of Showdown
Yeah,
and said this is AI made by AI, and people were like, "Oh, I don't agree with this AI generated art stuff."
yeah, I don't.
Game Makers toolkit, Game Jam. He basically came out and asked people through a poll, do we want AI generated art in the game jam? Do we want AI generated code in the game jam? And he came out with the rules for this year and said, we're going to allow AI generated code, but we're not going to allow AI generated art. And then they, after response and backlash, you changed it to no AI generated art or code at all.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't know. In my opinion, the only issue is the training of the AI themselves, and then obviously then using it is you're then like it's an illegally trained AI. I think the concept of using an AI is absolutely fine
I don't
as
know.
long as you make it
We're
obvious
just
what you're
going to
doing.
have to wait and see because they're already trying to on the one hand, they're coming together and say we need to slow down ChatGPT, it's getting too fast, and we don't have
Yeah,
the right ethical things in place to make sure it's being used responsibly. But on the other hand, you
yeah,
can know that people like Elon Musk and OpenAI want to, or whoever, um, other people want to
yeah.
slow that sort of stuff down because they're behind as well. It's like it's half
Well,
like it's half like let's think about the ethical ramifications of the impact this has on people, and then half of them are using that guise in order just to lobby so that they don't get too far behind, and it's like
I would argue the opposite has happened. The people who have lobbied are the people already ahead, and they're putting in limitations so no one else can catch up.
I
I think
don't.
OpenAI have done a very tactful job of trying to convince the Senate in the US or Congress, I suppose, in the US to slow it down so they're already ahead and no one else can get ahead.
Anyway,
But yeah,
can
again,
we,
my biggest problem is just the train. Like, if you're going to train, if you're going to train data, either it's in the public domain and that's fine, or you have to license it, and then they can say yes or no to being trained in AI or not. I think that's the way it should be from now on. Whether what we do with the current AI trained already, I don't know. But that's my opinion.
so we have I had Lord of the Rings Golem in here because that was a big blunder. Uh,
Yeah.
we have a story from Wowhead here. The WoW token, the ability to purchase in-game gold with real-world money, is being added to World of Warcraft Classic Wrath of the Lich King. WoW
Oh, excellent.
Classic is getting the WoW token, guys. Do you remember when WoW Classic was announced and people said, no changes, we don't want any of this new stuff in there? Imagine they
Yeah.
put a cash shop into World of Warcraft Classic. Wouldn't that completely ruin the game?
Yeah.
But okay, I have a temper take here.
Okay.
The problem with WoW Classic is that real world trading happens insane amounts. So many
Yeah.
people are already buying gold in these
And
games.
then just transferring it, and then
Yeah,
it's not a part of Blizzard's
they're
ecosystem.
like unofficial. They buy gold from gold farmers through third
Yeah.
party websites, and it's got to a point where so many people are already buying gold that at this point it's almost dumb for Blizzard not to put a WoW token into in their business
I think
focus view.
there
Um,
is. I would say there is a slight difference here.
I think one of the
So the
WoW devs said that they actually lose money on the WoW token because the way the WoW token works is you can when you buy a WoW token with in-game money,
yeah,
without when you buy a WoW token with outside money, you
yeah.
essentially get a token which you can sell, which is worth 30 days of game time, and you put it onto the auction house, and people can buy that for the
Oh, and
amount
that's how
of
you get
gold
the
it's
gold.
worth.
So no
So
gold is being created.
no,
Players still have to create the gold.
so
Okay, that's
people
fine.
with the WoW token, you can actually farm stuff in the game, use your in-game currency to buy game time, and that way you can actually get game time by playing the game. And the WoW
Yeah,
token even goes outside of WoW. You can actually use it to buy like Overwatch skins, or you can use it on buying stuff on the
yeah.
Battle.net store. So
I think
like
I'm okay with this.
some people were like laughing when Blizzard said we actually lose money on the WoW token, but we're doing it to try and mitigate real world trading, which
Yeah,
or a lot of the time ends up with people getting scammed or
yeah.
people
You can't police it.
farming. You know, obviously you don't want people logging into the game just to go and farm mats to resell stuff. It would be a better world if there was an official way for people to just get gold from the game's economy without inflating it,
Yeah, yeah.
and be able to get rid of people getting scammed and these bad actors who are literally just making bots or taking up resources just to try and make a
Hacking,
profit.
hacking undead accounts or like inactive accounts.
So, like, on the one hand, a WoW token in
Well,
Classic WoW, that's a pretty bad thing. On the other hand, it might actually be better than the current
not yeah.
state of Classic WoW. I mean,
What I'm gonna say is,
obviously a big debate here, but
yeah, yeah. I don't think I don't have a problem with bar token, but I also can respect people saying they don't want it. I think I would say that the Guild Wars 2 technically has a system of buying gold, but
yeah,
it's exactly the same way where like it's like you have to like buy it from people like so, like no gold, like, no in-game like gold has been created other than like player interactions with the world itself. So I think
yeah.
that's
Well,
fine
we
with the
we
way of
had
doing it.
like WoW Classic was announced, people were like no changes, and then it came out and people were like some changes,
Some
and we've got
yeah,
to a point where people have realized that a game that was released, almost like 15 years ago or something like that. Um, People playing it now, you kind of need to have a lot of changes in place because the way people play games and
yeah.
do
The amount of players.
the amount of players on these games has changed so drastically that you kind of
Yeah,
need to move around that. And they did do that with
yeah.
like the seal changes in like World of Warcraft, Burning Crusade. They had it
I
so
think
paladins on the Alliance or the Horde could use each other's sigils, so there wasn't like an imbalance between the two factions. And
yeah.
they've made like other smaller changes, but they've been pretty faithful so far. But this big WoW token change is a big change, and
Yes,
I know some
I
people would
will
be
whether it
disappointed.
help or
But
not. Yeah.
um, we've got like at the moment, like the big thing in World of Warcraft Classic right now is World of Warcraft Classic Hardcore is really popular, and there's basically a third-party add-on that people are using to track whenever somebody dies, they delete their character and they have to start again because it's like takes forever to level up and stuff like that. And it's been really popular on like Twitch and people playing the game. And it seems like at the moment, I think it was leaked or something. WoW wants to add the ability for like an official hardcore mode,
Oh, that's
which I
cool.
think is a good way to go with WoW Classic.
Yeah,
I would say
yeah,
like the old school RuneScape model is probably a good way to go. Like WoW Classic
yeah,
Plus, like make new content in the same ideas, the same breadth
yeah.
of WoW Classic would be a
Yeah,
good
I was gonna say
idea.
like compared to old school RuneScape, that probably might be wicked. But I don't know if I don't know if you know like old school RuneScape has a voting system of like new
Yeah,
content being added. Maybe they should go that route, maybe. But then again, like stuff like this wouldn't get added, even though it might be a good idea. Sometimes the popular vote isn't always the right vote, but it does. Does that matter to the populace? I don't know.
oh, I was talking to Andy, and he was saying like they kept trying to get something voted in, and all of the
Yeah.
players stopped, wouldn't allow it. They just like, no, we're not going to
It,
vote on this.
it was something that Andy and like Squadron Retorts really wanted in it. From I can't remember what it was, but yeah, and there's like people were like, no, we're too like they're basically like they were too purist to add it, even though it'd be really useful.
And then our final blunder is, oh, Kotick blames scandal on a very aggressive labor movement. Activision Blizzard CEO denies any systematic issues with harassment, says outside forces try to destabilize the company.
Yes, classic. What? Why would they though?
I don't know, I just put this image here. I'm not like the other CEOs. I can't believe like Bobby Kotick thinks that anyone's going to read this piece and go, man, we were wrong about Bobby. He's such a nice guy. Those ravenous labor-driven movements are just ruining businesses.
Maybe. Well, I think in that vein, I think you're right. I think with that reasoning, I think he actually believes what he puts out. I think he's just that narcissistic. I think he's the good guy of his story. And how could it? There isn't systemic problems, but people must be lying.
Let's move on. The VR. The Meta Quest 3 has been announced. This was part of Meta Connect. Full details on everything at Meta. Meta Connect in September. This was part of the Meta reveal, Meta Gaming reveal. They showed off a bunch of games, but we have some details now, so we know it's going to cost £500. So it's like £200 more expensive than the Quest 2. It's 128 gigabytes is the base model, I believe. They're going to not do the 64 gigabyte model, it seems like they did with the Quest 2. Which, yeah. It's 40% lighter. This is thanks to pancake lenses compared to Fresnel lenses like we had in the Quest 2. The Quest Pro has pancake lenses as well. They're a very popular like optic design where you layer lenses on top of each other to make them a lot thinner while being closer to your face. They say it has the highest resolution displays yet. So this is high. This would be higher than Quest Pro, which is kind of nuts. Speculation is it's probably it's probably going to be an LCD panel. If it was OLED, they would advertise that immediately.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a shame we're not getting an OLED display like we've seen from the PSVR 2, which is also a really cool headset. But at the moment, it just seems like LCD is a lot more affordable. We're not seeing too much micro OLED stuff coming out yet, apart from stuff like the PSVR 2. The new Snapdragon chip that they're putting in it is, according to them, 2 times Quest 2 performance, according to Meta, which is cool to see that we're going to have like much more powerful experiences on the standalone version of the Quest. I mean, they also announced that the Quest 1 support is going to be dropping for developers, because when developers had to make stuff for the Quest 2, they also had to make sure it ran on the Quest 1 as well.
Right.
So not only will developers have access to the much more powerful Quest 3, they can actually raise the baseline up to the Quest 2 from the Quest 1. The redesigned controllers have true touch haptics. It looks like they look like the Quest Pro controllers, but without cameras. So the Quest 1 controllers have those rings on them, which basically fires like IR all over the controllers to see where they are, and that's what those giant rings were for. They got rid of those rings with the Quest Pro controllers because they had cameras in them, but these don't have cameras in them. And from what I've read recently, actually, according to Meta, these have these IR blasters all over the controllers, but they don't need the rings anymore because they've got more improved sensors.
Okay.
So we'll have to see how they actually work in practice. Because I was a bit worried about this, knowing that it could almost be seen as a step back from Quest 2 tracking, which is not known as the best tracking already. I mean, it's decent. But compared to like a Lighthouse system, obviously it's not going to be the best.
Most precise.
But we have heard apparently Meta's internal benchmark for the controllers are Expert Plus mode on Beat Saber and they've said that it has passed the Expert Plus Beat Saber test, and
Yeah.
the I believe it was the Beat Saber CEO was saying like when I used them they were really good. They
Okay.
had good tracking, so
I guess
it seems good.
one thing from them being without the ring and things being smaller, like I've seen some people say like they like I think it was like, I can't remember what it's called, one of the gun simulators. Is that trying to reload with some of like the bigger
Yeah,
rings
people
that you like
when
hit itself?
you won't be hitting the rings against each other.
Yeah,
Um, like
it's smaller.
the Vive controllers have rings on them. I assume it's like a similar way to the way the Quest one did it. But it's interesting because like using the Vive controllers, I was constantly hitting these giant rings against things whenever I had to
Yeah,
bring the two controllers next to each other. So it would be nice to have that more freedom range. But um,
hopefully it
the
tracks just as well.
the Quest Pro controllers are compatible with the Quest 3. So if the included Quest 3 sorry, the included Meta Quest 3 controllers
Yeah,
are not good. You could potentially get the Meta Pro controllers and pair those with the Meta Quest 3 if you wanted to
are they
pair
like
those
300
together.
pounds
I
on them,
think they're
right?
like 300 quid, yeah. So it
Yeah,
might be
okay.
quite
Or your
expensive
regional
depending on
equivalent.
your level of tracking you want. Um, they have a depth sensor on them, which should help with hand tracking, which is really really cool. So they have full mixed reality. They have like quite good resolution cameras on them for playing like
Or
AR
like
sort of stuff.
colored pass through. Yeah, it looked
Yeah.
pretty good.
My only experience has been like black and white camera on the original
Oh,
Vive.
is it black
So
and white? Is it?
with the original Vive,
Yeah.
the original Vive is black and white, yeah. So I've never seen
Okay, I
full
didn't
color
realize that.
pass through. I'd be very interested to see how this looks.
Yeah.
Um,
Can you play
the
Damio on your table?
yeah, the um, the head strap is fully removable, so it should be really easy to mod it with more battery life or whatever. Like the
Oh, that's
Quest
good.
Pro strap was very popular
Yeah.
with the Quest 2 because it added more battery life. We had some like Frankenquest mods where people would
Oh,
add like the Index earphones onto the Quest and stuff like that. It is back compatible with the Quest 2 library. So any Quest 2 game you'll be able to play on the Quest 3, which is like a huge boom because there's like 500 games on the Quest
yeah.
2 library, including like some exclusives like the Resident Evil game or um, there's the Star Wars games. There's a bunch of like interesting VR games I've always wanted to try on the Oculus Store. Um, I think the biggest letdown for me was the lack of OLED and no eye or face tracking like the Quest Pro.
Yeah.
Because we've seen
I guess
like
that's just expensive.
the foveated rendering stuff through the PSVR 2 looks so good in
Yeah.
terms of improving performance. And then if you go into the social VR apps, like a lot of people own Quest 2s to play stuff like VR Chat or stuff like Rec Room or Meta Horizons or whatever, and having the ability to have animated facial expressions on there is super important to those people.
Yeah.
Um,
It's a shame it's not there.
so, so
But it'd be cool if like they made like a pro version of this and just added those sort of things. But I don't. It implies that like eye tracking is expensive comparatively.
well, I think with the idea of this being their like $500 version, it seems like they're
Yeah.
gonna skip the Pro version this time and just have this as the most expensive one because they saw how like the
Right.
$1,000 plus Quest Pro went that nobody bought,
Yeah.
and
Well, I was thinking like, how much is it to add eye tracking? Like, I just think maybe like an extra
well,
£200. Would people buy it if it had eye tracking? Or...
apparently there's like GitHub DIY projects where people have like modded in eye face tracking into the Quest 2, and they said it should be possible with the Quest 3, but whether people will be willing to go through DIY adding eye face tracking to the
Yeah.
Quest 3, we'll have to wait and see.
Some
But
people will.
the Quest 2, I don't know if you remember this, but the Quest 2 actually went up in price, and
Oh
it's
yeah.
now going back down in price to its original price
Oh thank
as
God.
this comes out. So it's going back down to $300, and they've done a 20 to 30% CPU GPU performance boost through the software. So they're making. I'm guessing they've like overclocked it, or they've made some like overhead changes in order to get the chip to run faster.
Or they're binning higher clock term chips now that they've got the manufacturing down.
No, it's from software. So people who currently own
so you
Quest
can
2,
if you own it now. Okay.
yeah.
Interesting.
The Quest 2 and the Quest Pro both got this 20 to 30% boost through software because they've discovered something through making the Quest 3, it seems. But I think the idea, because they're still going to sell the Quest 2 at $300, so the idea is you have the Quest 2 at $300 for like the low end.
Yeah.
You then have the Quest 3 for the mid range, the £500, and then you have the Quest Pro for the people who want to have business meetings. I don't know what the Quest Pro is for, but it has face eye tracking.
Yeah. It's usually business in Meta Horizons.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm currently looking at the Quest 3 and going, man, when we see Meta Connect in September and this headset comes out, if I don't see an announcement from Valve about the Decard, I might be picking up a Quest 3. It is looking like a tempting headset. I mean, I've been desperately wanting a VR upgrade since the original Vive from 2016. And
but what if next year they come out? Someone else comes out with an OLED eye tracking for like slightly more.
Well,
would you rather have that or?
Yeah, but again, I've been waiting up until this point, and you know what they say about the man who waits? The man who waits.
Yeah,
waits
but
forever.
I agree. At some point, you have to go for it. But I feel like this is like the next stuff of being announced. I want to like wait for like everything to be announced and like things to be settled and other companies to announce stuff in competition to see. I think at least wait like 3 months. I would say.
Well, I think Valve basically announced a piece of software or hardware just before an Apple conference went off. Like the last time they did it, they like to try and, or like a Meta conference, they like to try and get ahead of people. I
don't expect that to be.
I would love to like be in September about to watch the Meta Connect, and then suddenly Valve is like, we're releasing the Decard. It's a standalone Linux VR headset, and I'm like, yeah, I'm in. I'll get that.
But you don't think any other company can release anything? Like you think it can only really be from Valve at that sort of price?
We've seen PSVR 2. Who else can make a comparable headset? Meta is losing so much money on these headsets. Have you seen the Vive Pro? It is the most underwhelming, expensive headset in the world.
Yep. Yeah, I know. It's just pretty sucks. Yeah, okay. Well, I would still wait to see like if something. I don't know.
Well, I am going to wait because we're going to get full details in September. But at the moment, this is my current front runner for VR upgrade is the Meta Quest 3.
Yeah, I completely agree. I don't think this is going to happen, but let's say in September, Valve announced that next year, end of next year, let's say there's going to be a new headset. Would you wait another year, or is that too far away?
Yeah, I would if they announced basic details on the headset.
Okay.
If they said we're releasing a headset, we have no information about what's coming out about it, I would be like, oh, fuck this. But if they said, hey, it's going to have OLED displays, it's going to be standalone,
pass-through, foveated rendering,
it's going to have eye tracking, facial tracking, I'll be like, okay, this is stuff I want, I'll wait for this.
But what if they didn't... Okay. What if they didn't have a solid release date? Yeah, but they released all the details.
Yeah, sure.
You would still wait?
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
And then, of course, we have the most affordable headset, the most unaffordable headset. The Apple Vision Pro was just announced for $3,500. Oh my god. It looks like a pair of ski goggles.
What's that Ash Ketchum doing?
He's saying he will not be there. I will talk about the Apple headset next week because it literally just got announced like a couple of hours ago. So I've read some live tweeting from Mark-Ass Brownie about what the headset's for, and I was so confused because I was like, "This is the most. Is it for like FaceTime or something?"
Is it made of pure titanium?
I'm so confused what this headset is for. It's made from aluminum, and glass.
Okay, well, I wouldn't be titanium for that price. So
let's move on to business news before we get into not E3. an hour and 45 minutes in. Nvidia hits the $1 trillion market cap. They are one of the few companies to do this after, I think, Microsoft has hit the $1 trillion market cap, and I believe Apple's hit this as well.
Yeah, Google and Alphabet has as well. So Apple is at like 2 trillion, Alphabet and Microsoft are like 1 trillion.
So the 4060 Ti was not a great value proposition, but they don't give a shit if anybody buys it because they're doing AI stuff now, and AI is
Yeah.
really popular, and it will not crash like that crypto stuff that was very popular and they went all in making mining cards for. I think AI has more legs than crypto, but it just
Yeah,
feels bad for them
well,
to immediately go from, oh, fuck gamers, we're selling to crypto miners, to then, oh no, we're about gaming, we're about gamers, we're back.
I
Oh
don't.
wait, this AI stuff is making us tons of money in the
I think.
server space.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit different because they've always sold to like server stuff, and I think this is
Well,
going to be
they've
a problem
always
that
been ahead because they added the tensor cores to
yeah,
the RTX 20 series in 2018. Like AMD was
yep,
way behind on this. They only added
yeah.
the AI generating cores this generation of GPUs is when the 3000 series. They've just
My
added the 7000 series, their third generation of RDNA,
obviously like
which
someone's
they're
like
not
local hardware
doing
can
that
never
much with yet.
compete. Yeah, I don't look like I understand that like this is kind of my okay. I'm kind of it's kind of a tangent to this, but I kind of want to talk about it.
Well,
Um, my kind of issue with this is like they're out. If there was no, I get like people buying like in the server space hardware, the profit margin is like way higher. Like business to business is like always going to be more than like selling to a DIY audience. But I always get this feeling like, and again, I get like you buying a single card is always going to be like dwarfed by like a supercomputer that a
yeah.
server farm has like output. But I always think is like if their entire business model was like trying to like really upgrade the consumer DIY market, would we see bigger leaps in this AI for local people? Because to me, what seems to be happening is this like this isn't just for Nvidia either. This is like for Intel, this is for AMD, this is for Nvidia. It's like it's so much they get so much more money from the server space that they put all their eggs into that. And technically, what we see from a consumer side is technically like slightly altered server hardware to become then like normal average like average consumer hardware. Like sometimes like you see like rapid development in the server where like they'll miss like if you look at like, the server architecture for Nvidia, for example, like I think
Mm.
they've come out like we saw announced they've come out with the new not just for AI but like for like graphics stuff as well for the data center, and people don't that could potentially become a new like consumer product like a 50 series for example, or what people likely what they're expecting is that they're going to wait until the next one that comes to the data center and then that one becomes a 50 series. So
Yeah.
that they put so much money. AMD, Intel, and Nvidia make so much money from this that really DOA it's not a loss leader, but like it might as well be considering how much money they make from it. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm
It
very
makes sense
concerned
for
that we will own
Nvidia.
nothing and everything will be cloud based.
Yeah, I mean the future is so uncertain at this point; it would be impossible to predict it at this
Oh
point.
yeah, for sure. It's in such a flux right now.
But I think Nvidia will still make cards for. I mean,
Well, if they weren't strong enough to, I think it's a good idea.
AI stuff. You see stuff like DLSS and frame
Mm-hmm.
generation. As long as it's useful for gamers and it's
Yeah,
also
there'll be a
useful
market to
for the
sell.
AI stuff, they'll keep
Yeah,
making them in parallel because they know how important it is to their brand ideas, and
I
they are
guess.
a gaming brand. But I mean, Nvidia in the future could be an AI company, and they're just like,
Oh yeah, I think there will be. I think it's a slightly counter argument, I suppose, is technically like if they keep releasing new generation stuff for the server space, eventually the data centers will sell the old stuff and like it'll still be super expensive, but it'd be more affordable for the average customer. So I guess that's kind of a counterpoint there. Because I
I
know like you
guess
can
if
buy like server
I
stuff like from
guess
10
I
years
guess
ago.
if Nvidia goes all in the AI stuff and they're like fuck this gaming stuff, and AMD's like, you know what, we're gonna go in the AI stuff. We'll be gaming on Intel cards, guys. That's the
Yeah,
future.
yeah.
Intel gaming is our future. That's my prediction. Get the Intel GPUs out.
Yeah.
Um, Psychonauts 2 and Homeworld 3 crowdfunding platform Fig goes offline tomorrow. So, I don't know if you remember this, but Fig was the one that kickstarted Psychonauts 2, but Tim Schafer was also on the board of directors of the website. I remember talking about this
and
at the time.
And they don't have as many protections as Kickstarter did. It's very
But the
developer
website's
friendly.
going offline, but it's being moved over to the Republic platform, whatever the fuck that means. Yeah. And old campaigns aren't moving over, but live ones are. So if you have a live
it's the archive
Fig
here, but
one, it will be moving over, but the old ones won't. But Fig as a separate site will cease to exist. Because Psychonauts 2 was talking about they still had some kicks. I was going to say some Kickstarter, but some Fig rewards, some backer rewards to give out. They still need to deliver certain backer rewards, including plushies, art books, physical editions, and say that future communication about these rewards will come via email. And they've moved all the previous project updates over to the Double Fines site. So just an update on Fig.
I've never used Fig, but in my experience with Kickstarter, what tends to happen is that they don't use the platform. They just use, because you have to submit your email. They eventually just email you directly in the end, which I think is fair.
Yeah, I just guess people have that sense of ease where they go, oh, if I know the website's there and I can check on it, that they haven't just run off with the money or whatever. They're not going to forget about it.
But Fig was always easier for them to run off with the money than Kickstarter, and even with Kickstarter they can run off with the money. So
Kirby Support Studio example shut down. Developer behind Dylan's Rolling Western series was dissolved yesterday. This was the support studio who was helping out HAL.
Have they just been absorbed?
We don't know yet, but people were speculating that they probably should just be absorbed into HAL, who are the main creator of the Kirby series. So
yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
That would make a lot of sense, and they did a very good job on the new Kirby game because it's
just have
really
a division in there if you want to support. So
yeah. Shall we move on to E3?
Yeah, I'm ready for it's not
E3.
Summer Jeff Fest yet, is it?
Summer Jeff Fest is soon. We are so. Let's have a look. We are.
But I
Summer Jeff Fest in 3 days.
I really like writing Summer Jeff Fest. It's just so satisfying, and I can't write it yet, so I'm just gonna call it.
Hold your Summer Jeff Fest.
E3.
We're not there yet. We're going to start with the PlayStation conference. I'm going to watch the trailers on the website. So I've picked some out that I'm interested in or thought were interesting to talk about.
There are more stuff that I'm interested in, but they've just been announced. And I'm just basically going to say, oh, I like the art style or I like the concept.
So we got what they're going to do with an announcement for Helldivers 2, which the announcement came out.
I love this cutscene, by the way.
The announcement, I was like, is this fucking Starship Troopers? What is this?
Yeah. I love this.
I think Helldivers was one of the first PlayStation exclusives to come over to PC, right? It was one of the first, I believe, around just before Horizon or around that sort of time. But
yeah,
it was a very different game to this one, I believe. So they've kind of changed it up. I don't know much about Helldivers 1.
It really reminds me of Starship Troopers, though. From what I remember, which is very vague from the first game. But yeah, this looks way more Starship Trooper, with crazy technology, I suppose. But that's kind of
Helldivers 1 was a top-down game.
Oh, it's top-down, right?
Yeah, it was sort of more like alien swarming. I guess.
And is this first or third person? This is third person.
This is third person.
Okay.
But this is very much like a third person, alien swarming kind of game, very much
is it
Starship Troopers style. It seems.
Is it four people versus the Horde sort of thing?
Yeah, something like it says third person shooter action. We'll have to wait to see more about that. But that looked.
It's just they always show 4 people whenever there's the max number. The max number of people you see on screen is 4. So I'm just.
We got an announcement for a sequel to Ghost Runner 2, at the PlayStation Showcase. I played the first Ghost Runner game, and I really loved it. And I thought it was a great first-person ninja Hotline Miami sort of style game where you moved very fast, you killed very quickly, but you died very quickly. And it's sort of like the idea of going in and doing that. And we saw from the trailer of the second one, there's going to be a motorbike integrate. The motorbike riding is going to be integrated into the game, which was not present in the first game at all.
Obviously, going down this absolutely ginormous mega tower.
I
Were you
think
always in this mega tower?
You know me as a speed freak. This just looks so much fun to me. I just love this sort of stuff. So I can't wait to play this. Yeah, really, really cool they announced this. Looking forward to that one. Next up we have Sword of the Sea, adventure narrative. I put this one in because it's the one where it's from the Abzu studio. Let me look it up.
The Journey people.
Yeah, the Journey people, I believe.
Yeah, I think this was the Journey people.
They did like Journey.
He's surfboarding. I remember it being the one that surfboarded on the scabbard of the sword.
The Pathless Abzu Journey. Yeah, so I wasn't a big fan of Journey. I think it's a good looking game, but I think most of these games that come out are sort of just very good looking, like light gameplay experiences. But
yeah, I'm hoping the sense of speed is good in this game.
Yeah, I was hoping this was going to be more like,
because if it is just
speeding
scenery,
around
but
on this
speed,
like surfboard sword thing.
It looks like
pretty cool.
It's a scabbard of a sword, but it looks like with like pulse jets at the back of it is what it looks like to me.
I want to see like gameplay of this before I give my full opinion on it, but it looks like it could be fun.
What if you are seeing gameplay of this? This is the only
gameplay. It goes from Journey sand dunes, and it's like, no, water temple. We're in Abzu now.
Yeah, you're like uncovering like ancient, like kind of like archaeology through the sands, I guess, is the idea. I mean, if it's just, for me personally, as long as the sense of speed is good, like if it's just an artsy,
so far,
around area,
because normally with the PlayStation Showcase, a lot of the games will be PS5's exclusives, but so far I think most of the games were also coming to PC.
Yeah, I think all of them were coming to PC at least.
So yeah, Helldivers, Ghost Runner, Sword of the Sea is coming to PC. Next up we have the Talos Principle 2, one of the most beloved like puzzle games. Is getting a direct sequel, which is really, really cool to see. I've heard like really, really good things about the Talos Principle. People are saying it's like Portal level puzzling, which is like very good praise.
Yeah, I suppose you wouldn't put it that far, but I think it's in that sort of
it's made by Crow Team, the developers of Serious Sam, and they're making the sequel.
Yeah, it looks. I really like the architecture and the landscapes for this. I assume this is in game engine, not in engine content, not game content.
When they showed like the ship going over the cities, I was like, is this like terraforming Mars? Like what is this? I don't know if you've seen that game.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. I assume that's just part of what we see. I would assume.
That's cool to see. Cat Quest is getting a sequel, which is really cool. Pirates of the Caribbean. I've been playing Cat Quest recently on my Steam Deck. I wanted a light game to pick up and put down when I was out and about on my Steam Deck, and it's okay so far. I haven't really felt like I've really got into it. It's very simplistic, but maybe that's the appeal to a lot of people, that it's just... It is very simple, pick up and put down. Maybe I'll play more of it on my Steam Deck, on my TV. Like an hour or so before bed or something, but I like that I like pirates. You and me both like pirates, so I like the pirate theme. I like it has this more of a. It's sort of more. It is still 2D, but it's sort of more like 2.5D than the.
It's like the map is 2.5D, and then like there's then 2D sections, I guess. 2024.
Like the ships in 3D sort of thing, which is pretty cool to see. But that's coming to PC as well. So these are Talos Principle's coming this year. Ghost Runner 2 is coming this year. Helldivers is coming this year. Sword of the Sea has no announcement. Cat Quest is coming 2024 next year. Metal Gear Solid Triangle, as I kept calling it, which I think a lot of people have lovingly started calling it. Konami actually are remaking a Metal Gear game. I thought this would never come. Game. So I was watching the trailer live on Discord with a friend, and basically when this came up, I was watching the trailer. I was like, what the fuck is this a trailer for? And I literally said,
Yeah,
is this
it's so
going to be Death Stranding 2? Because whenever I watch a trailer and I have no idea what it's about,
bollocks.
it's usually
But it's cinematic.
a Kojima game. And I
Yeah.
guess I was half right with the Death Stranding 2 call, because it is a Kojima game technically. Because you'll see in a second the snake eating the bird. And yeah, what a thrill. The
Like,
only
you have to skip for most of it. Yep.
the only Metal Gear game I've played is Ground Zeroes, and I didn't like that game that much.
The prologue to 5.
The prologue to Phantom Pain, yeah, and I didn't like it
Yeah.
that much. So I'm interested to try one of the more beloved Metal Gear games. I mean, they also announced that the Metal Gear Remastered Collection was coming, but they only announced it for PS5. We don't know if it's coming to PC as well, I believe. Because they took down the remastered version. There was like a remastered version of. There wasn't a remaster. There was a version of it on GOG that they took down, and people were speculating they were going to remaster the Metal Gear games.
Metal Gear Solid Triangle. So can they be trusted to remake this game?
So,
Then?
from what I've heard, okay, so let's get into some more details I have on this. So straight up, it's coming to PlayStation, Xbox, PC. It's going to be out on all platforms. So it has a Steam page, so you can look it up on Steam, which is cool to see. It won't be some weird like Epic exclusive or something.
Yeah, that's good.
We know that the voice actors are not invited back. They plan to reuse all the original dialogue for the game, which I think is fine. Like, people seem to think the original dialogue for the game is good, so that's a good sign.
I can't remember what game it was recently, but like people were saying how good it was. It's like they were saying like, oh, how good the voice acting is, that they assumed it was redone. It's like, no, they just reused the same stuff in the game.
I'm surprised they didn't
I
do some like AI generation stuff. You know,
that's. I guess
that would be very old, Konami.
Yeah.
So this is very much like a Kojima game, and they're making it without Kojima. You know, the weird relationship that Kojima and Konami had after they split, where they wouldn't let him attend the award show to pick up his award for the Phantom Pain.
I assume the talent
stuff like that
behind the game was still active,
so
right?
There's still, from what I've heard, there's still a lot of developers who worked on the original Metal Gear games under Kojima's team working there, and they're going to be working on this project.
Right.
So it seems like it could be good. We've seen Konami been doing some interesting stuff recently that's not been fucking awful. So hopefully, they won't fuck this up. We have Final Fantasy 16. You got the trailer. It's coming out soon. It's coming out. In like the end of this month, 2022.
Oh, this one. That one's only on PS5.
This is a PS5 exclusive, but they have announced that there will be a PC version like in the future. So it's going to be like the Intergrade remake, like thing where it gets released a couple of years later.
If you want lots of fake English accents, this is the game for you.
You'll love to hear it.
Do you not feel the same?
I don't have a problem with fake English accents. I mean,
no, but it feels very, very forced to. And I do get fatigued by them because they're all like very similar, and it's like, can we not just get normal English accents? I guess this is a fantasy, so it's not
this is the most interested I've been in a Final Fantasy game since Final Fantasy Chaos. What was that? Strangers of Paradise Origin. So, like, for me, I'm not a big fan.
You weren't interested in 15?
Not particularly.
Okay.
But this seems to be like, I was more interested in 7 remake than I was 15.
But 15 is a lot like 7 remake.
Yeah, but I think they've gone more into the real time combat in 16.
Yeah, I think they've gone. Yeah, from those animation things, it looks like they've gone really ham with like what you can do and how quickly you
Like,
can
it
move
almost
stuff.
seems like they've gone more towards like a Souls, like a hacky slash
Yeah,
sort of thing, which I'm way more interested in than the turn-based stuff. Like
it.
the original turn-based stuff, I'm just really not interested
Yeah,
in.
yeah,
But the
100%.
real-time, fast-paced combat stuff
This
actually
is
looks
a lot like Devil May
interesting
Cry
to
to
me.
me.
Yeah, which is like something I'm really interested in.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah, 100%.
I would say like this is the first Final Fantasy game I'm looking at, and I'm like, hey, I might just play this. It looks pretty interesting.
What about the story being presented here? What do you think about that?
I think it looks cool. I mean, I understand
Okay.
Final Fantasy games. They're not quite Kingdom Hearts level Squeenix, but they don't always make the most sense.
Yeah.
But I'm okay with just having fun visuals on the screen while giant
Oh,
monsters have a fight, I guess.
yeah. I do like the god fallen monsters. I think we should rename this to Final Fantasy Clive though.
Why is that?
At the end, they just all shout Clive for some reason.
Clive! Okay.
Do you not see that?
I'm watching without sound because of copyright
No,
issues
but
with
did you not
music and
watch it
stuff.
originally with sound?
I did, I did. I forgot about that.
There's just Clive, just like today, I was like, what? Clive, 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 Clive.
Yeah,
It's I
looks
assume they're
awesome.
saying Clive.
We'll talk about that on releases.
Yeah.
2 weeks from now. That went not next podcast, but the podcast after that.
Some of like the visual like the whole like city being like surrounded by that ice crystal thing looks really cool. Some like it looks quite impressive visually.
Alan Wake 2 trailer was actually
Yeah, that's
really, really
interesting.
good from Remedy. It's coming out October 2023.
Oh, Remedy. They
Uh,
always make their Remedy type games.
but most of the trailers shown off at the PlayStation one was cinematic.
Mm,
Alan Wake 2 is actually like all in engine like gameplay footage. It was like
yeah.
actually one of the only games that actually showed gameplay, and it was like, oh, this is actually really good. Also, why does he look like John Wick
Yeah,
from
I thought exactly the same.
is he intent? I always say he looks like John Wick from Fortnite. Yeah, but this game I've never played Alan Wake. Control is on my to play list. I own Control. I've got it on
Yeah.
Steam. I really want to try it out, especially now that I've got a more powerful GPU to crank up that ray tracing on
It's
Control.
a very it's definitely a Stephen King-esque concept, right? Where it's like
I love Stephen King shit,
the
so
horror, yeah, the horror novels like writing reality, and
mm.
you're kind of like trying to use it to predict the future, but you're kind of stuck in
But
it.
it gave me like almost like a Resident Evil, like the new Resident
Yeah,
Evil
yeah,
remake vibe, sort of
yeah,
with the police officer and stuff. I was like, oh, that looks really, really cool. It looks really good, and it's all actual in-engine stuff, so it is cool to see.
yeah.
So very, I think that was a big
And
highlight.
the monsters, and like and the atmosphere that are very interesting.
That's coming October 17th, 2023.
Yeah.
Ultros. This was like a Metroidvania hack and slash. It was like an indie thing. I'd never heard of it, but I watched the
No,
trailer and I was immediately like, "This looks fucking cool." I
the
was like,
music is fantastic as well in this trailer.
hmm.
It's very
But immediately I
interesting.
saw the art style and I was like, "Yeah, I'm in. This looks. It looks
Only
like
thing I don't like about this art style is their logo. Everything
there
else
it
is
is."
fantastic.
But this is on Steam as well, so you'll be able to play this on PC. But I just thought it looked really, really fun.
Yeah,
I love
it looks
Metroidvania stuff,
great.
so I'll definitely be checking this one out because I love the art and I love how fluid the combat looks. Yeah, awesome. That's coming out next year. Dragon's Dogma 2 got another trailer that is age restricted,
Yeah,
so I have to watch it on YouTube. Here we go.
I was hoping to see more of this actually, and
I wanted to
I'm
see
actually
more
quite
as
excited for
well.
this. Because I'm the community, or some of the stuff I watch on YouTube and like the community around it, like the I guess like the medieval like
Yeah.
armor and like weapon and fighting videos, right? They all seem to really like Dragon's Dogma 1,
Yeah.
and I think it's like too old for me to like understand it with its like older engine, let's say. So I'm hoping I understand like what's so appealing to them,
And
because
they got
I
cat
do like their
people.
content. Yeah, but Khajiit,
Yeah. Have you been to the Cloud District?
Yeah, but I really like the way they do magic. Like it kind of looks cool, and it's like seems grounded magic. If that makes sense.
Yeah. I've never
I
played
kind of
Dragon's
like that.
Dogma. I don't actually know that much about Dragon Dogma, but I know
No.
people are hyped for this, and from watching the
Yeah.
trailer, it looks pretty good.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to check this one out when that comes out. That's coming to be announced. We don't know when that's coming. They actually, PlayStation, shout out to them. They actually had a full PlayStation VR section where they showed a
That's
bunch
cool.
of new VR stuff. So we got
Well,
an announcement.
you would
Uh,
hope they could commit to it after they made a headset.
yeah, we got an announcement of PSVR 2, Arizona Sunshine 2. So Arizona Sunshine 1 was a very popular zombie shooter game. I've played it very briefly. I was going to play it co-op with some
Oh,
friends, but
you.
we never got around to it. So I've
Oh,
played a
okay.
bit of it.
Right.
I've played like the horde mode, and I've played a little bit of the campaign. It's pretty fun from what I've played of the first game. They did
Okay.
Until the Fall, which is sort of like same. I don't know if it was same universe, different time, or I don't think it was a direct sequel. But it seems like they've taken the Arizona Sunshine universe and they've done a direct sequel to it now, which is
Right.
pretty cool to see because it is one of the best zombie VR games out there. People seem to love it, so that's cool to see.
Zombies seem very well animated, and like, I obviously that's kind of the point, right? But yeah,
Well,
the I don't know, like the
this was
style
like
of the zombies is
it
kind of
was a
cool.
full cinematic trailer, so we're gonna have to wait to see. But
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
coming this year, which is cool to see. Crossfire Sierra Squad coming quarter 3 this year. I thought this looked really cool. Like we have a lot of shooter VR games, but this one stood out to me. It looked like really fluid and good. Like the graphically, it looked very very good. It didn't look like it was
Okay.
like seeing the PSVR 2 technology. Didn't feel like when a lot of VR games come out, you go, oh, the graphics have just been pulled back. This needs to run on a Quest. And it's
Yeah.
like with PSVR games, we're actually seeing stuff that can fully utilize PlayStation 5 level hardware, which is going to be really, really big
Yeah.
dividends for when
I
if it has a cross release with PC or if it
yeah. I guess the
uh,
4K rendering is really helping
eventually
here.
adds. Yeah, it's cool to see.
I like that
Uh,
logo actually as well. It's a good title
we
screen.
have Synapse, which I thought was kind of interesting, which is coming. Wait, it came out like yesterday. Let's have a look. Synapse. Uh, so is this a PS5? It's coming to PC VR. It says. Well, Synapse. Try and find this. But it was giving me like very much Deathloop vibes. It was this idea of
Hmm.
like you keep going into somebody's mind and trying to take over their like system, like their. Oh no, sorry, not July 4th, not June 4th. Sorry, it's coming out next month on
Next
PC
month, okay.
VR.
So it's kind of like the sheer version of Psychonauts then? Or
The share version of Psychonauts. Um,
is that the super hot version of Cyclones? Is that why? I don't know. It seems interesting though. I think you're right. It
it
looks kind
looked
of
very
cool.
like
Are you
Control-esque as
sliding?
well.
Are you just sliding everywhere? Like how is that
Yeah,
movement
it seems like
working?
it has like a smooth locomotion movement to it.
But also like skiing though, like so you just get the speed of that. Seems interesting to me. But yeah, so smooth locomotion speed. Okay, that seems very. I feel like we're finally like starting to see like next gen. Like I would consider this like the start of like next gen VR stuff, like in terms of both hardware and games and experiences. So it's exciting to see. Oh, Unreal Engine, excellent.
Yeah, love that.
It's
Right,
got to be good,
that's coming
surely.
out next month. Then we had PlayStation Q, the PlayStation accessory, which I talked about as a rumor, and I just can't believe it was
Yeah,
actually real. It
it was.
is
There
the
wasn't the rumor 100% true as well.
yeah,
Like,
it's a DualSense controller with a 1080p LCD screen on it that lets you stream your PS5 to it only.
yeah.
That's the whole thing. And it's going to cost like
Um,
fucking £200 or something.
like it's not even like a handheld by itself, which is just fun. Like if you
And
could
then
do
they
that
also
and as a
announced
handheld,
PlayStation earbuds as well, which makes sense
sure,
because they already make good
yeah.
headphones and earbuds on the Sony brand, so why not the
Well,
PlayStation brand?
well, my issue is that they've made PlayStation headphones, and they weren't that great.
I heard they were alright actually.
They're
What
all
did you
right,
hear
but not
about
for the
them?
price. Not for the price though.
Okay.
If you consider the price, it's that they're very not all right.
But yeah, man, we're gonna have to wait. I don't think we have full details from the details they've showed. Like, what the fuck? Who is this for? It's the
Yeah,
Wii U gamepad, but worse. Like, you can't.
yeah.
There's no games
If it was
gonna
a
be.
handheld as well, I can understand it.
Why would you buy this when you could buy a Steam Deck? I don't understand. Like, I
You
can
don't know the
understand
scene that exists, and you're in the PlayStation
you're
ecosystem.
only on a PS5 and you want to play your
Play in bed.
PS5 games on a screen
Yeah.
because somebody
I'm
else
gonna
wants
be
to watch
honest.
TV. It's the Wii U. It's the Wii U.
Also, I feel
But
like
it's
the if
worse
you're
than
gonna
it's worse than the Wii
yeah
U because
yeah
there's
yeah
no integration where you can use the
yeah.
screen to interact with the game. Go on.
I was gonna say like even if you want like something like that though, surely like a PSVR 2 is like an equivalent that you could like output. Like, you could like watch someone could watch Netflix on their Roku right on the TV, and then
Yeah.
you just have the PSVR connected to the PS5, and you just lie down and watch the content instead. If you want to do that instead of being on a little screen, wouldn't that be more immersive?
Oh, I
um.
completely missed Phantom Blade Zero. I meant to talk about this.
Oh my god, you missed the good one. Oh my god.
So this was like a it was it was one of the first Unreal Engine 5 games coming out as well. It looked like based on the trailer they were using a lot of nanite
Yeah.
in creating
Apparently,
the geology. Maybe not lumen though, based on the lighting.
no. So apparently Nanite is like really easy to use. I was looking at satisfactory update stuff because update 8 would
Yeah,
be in Unreal 5.
huge.
So yeah, they're showing off like how all their stuff can like
Because I
convert to Nanite.
immediately saw this and I went, "Oh, is it going to be like a Souls-like game?" But then I saw the actual like gameplay
Yeah,
sort of
it's a
stuff, and
lot
it looked very fast-paced. I
quicker.
was like, "Oh, it's more like hack and
Yeah.
slash, very like almost like Ninja Gaiden, very fast-paced sort of stuff." And they've
Yeah.
actually announced that Phantom Blade Zero won't have microtransactions and will feature Souls-like elements, but will try and be more approachable. So
Yeah.
they're trying to make like a fast-paced single-player Souls game that's a lot more approachable than like a
But like a
Miyazaki
grim
game.
dark
The Mi-
but
the
like a
Mi-
grim dark world still.
Yoshi.
I think maybe Solemn World is a better one. Mask guy. Here we go.
Miyazaki. Uh, because there's always a lot of gatekeeping in like Souls games, which is like, well, you're ruining the developer's vision if you turn the
Yeah.
difficulty down or add an easy mode or whatever. But there's
Yeah.
genuinely
Even though
people
it's a single player game.
who have accessibility problems or just
Yeah.
honestly can't get good.
Yeah. I
And
think there's something who said like try and play a higher difficulty, but yeah, some people just can't. Like, they're just not they either don't gel with it or they have accessibility problems or whatever. It doesn't matter.
but
Let
yeah,
people play the game they want to play.
that's going to be announced.
But yeah, I really like the
And that's
style and
coming. It's coming to
the world.
PC.
Yeah.
Spider-Man 2. We got an
So this
announcement
one was
of
only on
Craven.
this one was also only on PS5 as well, like
Yeah, so it's
16 and Final Fantasy 16.
we're assuming it's going to be PS5 for a couple of years and then coming to PC based on
Yeah.
Insomniac's track record.
Yeah. And considering how well the other one sold, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. This was actually one of the few trailers where we got like full gameplay and we got to saw like Peter Parker in the Venom suit and how that interacted with the gameplay.
I'm so hyped with for Venom. I'm not gonna
It
lie.
seems like you're going to be playing as Peter Parker as Venom, and then you're going to be like
Yeah,
freely switching to Miles Morales as the other playable Spider-Man who doesn't have the Venom suit.
right. That's okay. I'm just so pro Venom.
Yeah,
I can now finally play out Spider-Man 3, Tobey Maguire.
there it is. I hope there's a scene where Peter Parker dances. That's all I'm going to say.
And hits women, yeah.
Wow. Maybe that part could be changed, but we'll see.
Okay. Not pro hitting women.
But yeah, this looks really good.
Yeah, it looks fantastic. Like
and it's also going to be. Some people are complaining because this is the first PS5 only game, because they've really bumped up like the visuals of.
Oh, it's on PS4, right?
Yeah, it's PS5 only.
Yeah, makes sense.
Because they bumped up the visuals of like the city density and how the buildings look, and I think this is getting like ray tracing as well. So it looks really, really, really good, and excited to play this. So we had like my highlights were Spider-Man 2, Metal Gear Triangle, Ghost Runner, Alan Wake 2, Ultros, and Talos Principle 2. I think were the big highlights for the Sony conference. I think it was okay, but it felt like they were holding back, and I got to say, Tony, they were holding back.
Yeah.
Because the big announcement after this event was they were just randomly like, "Lol, by the way, Ratchet and Clank is coming to PC."
Yeah,
which is like,
where did you see this? Because I was really confused.
They just announced it on. I just saw it on like Reddit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they just.
This is huge.
This, not only are we getting Insomniac, who make some of the best PS5 games and PC ports, but also Nixxes, who also do the best PC ports, are working with them to bring this. It's like, this feels like a slam dunk. Because me and you are like, massive Ratchet and Clank games. Ratchet and Clank fans. We've played all of the games on the PlayStation. Yeah.
They even put Intel. I didn't even realize they put Intel sex backwards in the trailer.
Yeah. So the features, it's going to cost £50. It's coming next month, July 26th of July. Ray trace reflections and shadows, unlock frame rates, latest performance enhancing upscaling technologies, NVIDIA DLSS 3, AMD FSR 2, and Intel Sex backwards. And Insomniac Games temporal injection, if you want to use that method as well. It's going to be featuring NVIDIA Reflex, obviously, because
there's giant clank.
DLSS 3. And image quality enhancing NVIDIA DLAA is also supported. So they've got ultra wide.
Nice.
They have all the PC features you would want. My guess is this is going to be the next haptic adaptive triggers, haptic feedback, DualSense game on PC supported. So
yeah,
it makes so much sense there.
I played a little bit of this on PS5. It has very good weapon. It's another one of those games that has really good. It doesn't feel annoying to have them on the different weapons. It makes the weapons feel unique. So
yeah, I think this could potentially be a day one purchase for me because I am a huge fan of Ratchet and Clank, and I really want to play this.
Yeah, from what I played, it seems very good. I don't know.
I've got my beefy PC, and I can crank up the visuals, turn on the ray tracing, play just a really high frame rate. Great looking Ratchet and Clank game on my PC. I've been looking forward to this for a long time. This is if you said to me, number one exclusive you want on PC, Ratchet and Clank for sure. This is what I've been wanting to play for a long time. So this is really, really cool news.
It's absolutely huge.
I think the big blunder from the PlayStation event was they showed off a lot of multiplayer games that I was like, I don't really care about these. There was Concord. There was Fair Game, which was a competitive heist game. Square Enix essentially made Splatoon with bubbles called Foam Star. I don't know if you saw that trailer.
Yeah, I did.
I think the biggest disappointment was that Marathon was Bungie's original take at an FPS game. It's a old school boomer shooter that was essentially pre-Halo. They made this shooter that was exclusively on the Mac, and it's a cult classic at this point, and people loved the Marathon. They were like, man, they should bring back Marathon as a boomer shooter throwback. That would be great. And Bungie was like, we're making a live service extraction shooter multiplayer game. And my excitement for this went out the window. I was like, oh. So if you know what extraction shooters are, these are essentially games like Escape from Tarkov, Hunt Showdown, these games where you PvP/PvE in like a little arena. You grab loot and you try and get out without being killed. Otherwise, you lose all the stuff that you got or brought with you, right? Which to some
Yeah.
people, I know people do generally really love these like Escape from Tarkov games. But for me, I just wish, you know, Bungie makes the best Halo games of all time. And
Yeah.
then they were like, okay, let's make live service games. Let's make
Yeah.
Destiny and
Mm-hmm.
a extraction shooter. And these are just it's a shame when they are so talented and they're just making games that I'm just not interested in, which is such a shame to see personally. Because we've seen like Marvel Avengers, Babylon's Fall. How many more of
Oh,
these like live service games are we going to
you
have to
forgot
see?
Anthem. How can you
Anthem.
forget Anthem?
I remember Babylon Fall, but I forgot Anthem.
It's funny you forgot the most forgettable one because I always forget about
No,
Babylon's
I
Fall.
think Babylon Fall, the one that had like 3 people playing it, is probably the most
Yeah, but
forgettable one.
that's what I mean. That almost no one. I can get okay. I think you should mention it to some of the people that like aren't paying attention to gaming and see if they recognize Babylon's Fall.
Yeah. Uh,
But yeah,
yeah.
it'll flop. Well, I might have a cult following because it's like
No,
that
I
sort of thing,
think I think
maybe.
this marathon
But
game could do well.
because it's like Tarkov, yeah.
Because it's like Tarkov and Tarkov's popular, and Bungie
But it's
has
still
good
kind of
pedigree for
niche.
live service stuff. People love Destiny. People love Destiny too. I would just love to see um, Bungie
Well,
work Bungie working on actual single player shooter games. That would be interesting to
yeah.
see.
All
So
my knowledge of Destiny comes from I Hate Everything. So
let's move on to the Warhammer showcase. Not much here. I mean, we've talked about Warhammer Speed Freaks. I think that looks really cool. That's coming this year sometime. There's an alpha playtest at the moment. I think it's for like another week or so. If you just go to the store page and request access, you should be able to get in. You wanted to briefly mention Warhammer 4000 Battle Sector, which is
yeah,
a strategy game.
I just wanted to quickly say like I think last time I saw it was like just like glimpses of stuff. I just want to say like it looks like the
It says
differences that are
Orcs
from.
DLC out now, so I guess the game is already out.
Yeah, I guess it's out, but yeah, add this extra stuff that adding like
It
the
came out
units and stuff
came out on
feel.
Steam in 2021.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it
So this
feels.
is this is the new DLC they're adding.
Yeah, I don't know. It just seemed like the orc stuff seemed actually like orc stuff. It felt correct, and I feel like
Right.
I actually want to try it. And I feel like I don't know. So I guess when it
It's
came
a
out,
fast-paced turn-based strategy game set in the grimdark universe of the 41 millennium. It seemed
I don't know. I guess
pretty
just to
cool if
see
you
if
like that
it's
sort
like,
of
if it's like
stuff.
too expensive. But yeah, like it actually has like formation stuff and like actually
It
like, making sense to
is
me. So
£31 off sale, but it's been as low as about £14.
that's okay. Well, I'll wait for the summer sale. That's definitely not coming at the end of the month.
There it is.
But no, yeah, I just thought it was interesting. Like the units seemed like the units they're supposed to be, which is I think always a good thing to have in Warhammer.
We got some more gameplay for Space Marine 2, which I think is the big game that's coming out from Warhammer.
Yeah,
This is the game everyone's waiting for. Warhammer 1's such a huge, I think underappreciated game almost. Like it was such a
almost.
great
Yeah.
game.
In
Uh,
a way, from because people have been playing it like relatively like the last 2 years sort of thing on YouTube, and like I think it's
I've
kind
been
of like
playing
people
it
have gone
in the
back and
past
played
two
it.
years, yeah.
So I think it was I think underlooked, and I think now people realize it's actually really good.
Yeah.
Because
Really looking
genuinely
forward to that.
this game, the first game of this, is like the reason why I like started to get into Warhammer. So
Yeah. I think lots of people did. I mean, I remember this was the first Warhammer game I heard talked
yeah, because
about
I
from.
remember
I
like
remember like Total Biscuit was always raving
yeah
about this game. It's like I
he
love
well
um, Space Marine.
I remember like him talking about like Warhammer stuff, like not about that game. And it's like, what the hell? Like, what's so good about this Warhammer stuff? And it's like until I saw him play that game, I was like, oh, I think I'm starting to understand. As I didn't have that context from a game before, because I think I'd seen him play like Blood Bowl with like Angry Joe and stuff. It's like, yeah, that's not really my thing though. It's kind of cool though.
We got like new updates to Darktide and Vermintide, but it was like it didn't seem like anything substantial. It seems because I checked the store
No.
page for Darktide and people still like just wait to buy it. It's still like basically they've released it in like an early access sort of state, and they weren't happy
Yeah.
about the microtransaction store stuff, which is a shame because I've said this before. I think
Look how cool that is.
Fat Shark make like these amazing, gorgeous games that
Yeah.
are really fun to play, and then they bog them down with like microtransaction stuff,
Yeah.
which is
And
such a shame.
it's so in keeping to what you want to see from
Yep.
Warhammer 40k. It's so good.
So for me, I'm like looking at Dark Time, I'm like, this looks really fun. I want to play this, but then I go to the Steam store page and everyone's like, yeah, don't bother playing this yet. Just wait. And I'm like, well, okay, I can. It came out right at the end of like last year, pretty much.
Yeah.
Been out for
In
about 8
November
months or
time, right?
something. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, the actual gameplay looks like as fun as like Vermintide 2, but in 40k. And I just want to.
The big announcement for me from Warhammer was Power Wash Simulator X Warhammer 40k. This was just like, what the
Why?
fuck? I love Power Wash
Uh,
Simulator. I know you don't get it, but it's such a
no,
like
I just
relaxing
like
game, and it's not just. I feel like there's so
I
much
find
like
it tedious.
negativity with like the simulator tag, but Power Wash is such a uniquely great game that it's like Goat Simulator or where it like transcends the shit simulator tag. It's great.
Yeah, I don't think simulator always means better. Just a lot of simulators are kind of half-assed. Still kind of are at that point, but like
Uh,
farming sim is still like very good.
so we had the
I just don't get.
Meta Quest gaming showcase, so we got some VR games to go through. We had Little Cities sandbox update. You were interested in Little Cities?
Yeah, I'm curious now how that goes because I assume you'd feel like I know we have City Skylines in VR technically, right? But
Yeah.
I don't know. This seems more in keeping with what you're like a little model. Was that Donut County? What? Okay, little City. Hold on a minute. But yeah, I just know. I just feels like it being like a cutesy arty thing. I think is more in keeping, like being much lower to the ground. I think is better. I think it's just a much better way to do that to take advantage of the perspective.
It says Quest's most loved city creator, throwing some shade at Cities VR there.
Hmm.
Oh, Tony,
I think that's deserved.
this has got to be the biggest announcement of the metagaming showcase right now. Ghost Signals Stellaris VR game. Here we
Yeah.
go. Coming to the
Uh
MetaQuest 2, 3 and Pro, the fleet expansion free update brings
some
with
of
it.
some of the ships seem kind of cool, but it's not the sort of experience I'm looking to play. There's a lot of models that are like cutified versions from the main Stellaris game.
I just didn't even know there was a Stellaris VR game, I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I just. Who is this
It's
for?
not bad. It's not bad. It's just not for me.
I just see ships ramming into each other in like
But that's just that one ship.
JPEG quality.
But yeah,
I don't know.
you're controlling like it's kind of like I don't know. It's like kind of like a bait, like a one or two, a couple of unit RTS sort of thing is what I can tell. But in space, I don't know.
We got an announcement of some more walkabout mini golf maps. I think you would love one of the new ones I was playing recently. Did I stream it to you? What's his
You
name?
stream something. What one were
Like
you thinking of?
the one like the MC Escher painting, where it's
Oh
like
yeah. You showed me
the
the
upside down city. Where I was
yeah
like,
yeah
that's
like the
cool.
like it looked like a European city with like
I
metros
thought that
and
was cool that
things,
they
right?
were doing the Exploding Kittens collab,
Exploding
and then
kittens.
and then they were also doing like crossplay with the iPad as well, which I was like, oh,
That's
that's
really cool.
interesting. It's coming to iOS as well, so someone could play on an iPad while someone plays in VR, which is like a good idea if people don't have VR setups. They can also play with people not in VR, which I'm like, that's always a good idea.
Yeah.
See, Demi Battles, strategy game, coming to PC VR as well. This one I thought was interesting because Demio was very popular for like the D&D thing.
Yeah.
But taking that and changing it up is going to be interesting to see. Like turning it into
What?
like
I haven't really seen this one. What are
so
they doing? You say?
it's like a competitive turn-based strategy for up to 4 players. So you
So there's like an
basically
arena.
you choose your champions and you like assemble a lineup, and then
Right.
essentially you take it in turns to try and attack the opposing players.
Right. Oh, it's the same. It's the same classes as the main game. Then okay. So that's the warlock and then wizard and
You can go
okay.
1v1 or 2v2, because you can team up as well.
I don't know. I'm personally not interested in this, but I guess for those who like
Yeah,
PvP, this
you're
is
adding
pretty
like
cool.
a PvP element to Demio,
Yeah,
which is quite
100%.
popular. So
And
we'll see how that
and
turns out.
I've in VR as well. I've heard this is very
Yeah,
fun, like the whole Demio stuff. So very cool.
this one. I didn't like fine cone this one because I was like, oh, I'm usually interested in most of the VR games.
Right.
Oh, I've seen this one. A big one for me. Power Wash Simulated VR. Here we go. I can't wait. We've had House Flipper VR. Now we've got Power Wash Simulator VR. I hope it's like mostly just the full game in VR. That would be great.
Yeah, that'd be.
Because I have so many friends who just love playing Power Wash Simulator because it's such a relaxing game. I'm like, well,
Would it be?
you've got to get a Meta Quest now so you can play Power Wash Simulator VR.
So there won't be crossplay between non-VR and VR.
It's only for the Meta Quest, I believe. So I don't think
Okay.
so. No.
No crossplay. That sucks.
I think my favorite announcement from the Meta Festival gaming showcase was "I Expect You to Die 3."
Mm.
This is coming to PC VR as well. But if you don't know, "I Expect You to Die" and "Expect You to Die 2," my favorite VR games of all time. It got the demo for "I Expect You to Die" on the Oculus Store got on the Oculus Dev Kit 2 got me into VR. I absolutely adore these games. I think they're some of the
You
best
love
VR
spy
games of all
games.
time. I love spy games. I love budget cuts. I love
Yeah.
I Expect You to Die. I love role playing a spy in VR. It's very fun. It takes the
Yeah.
concept of an escape room and just makes it very fun
It's
in
the
a VR
Johnny English
setting.
escape room.
Yes, exactly. That is exactly what it's like. But yeah, very excited for this. I love Shell Games. I've been a big fan of what they been doing with Among Us VR. So excited to see them working on another product. They're also working on a Meta exclusive, but the trailer showed nothing. It's called
Oh,
Silent Slayer: Vault of the Vampire, and we know it's
oh,
going to be
okay.
like a puzzle-based, stealthy vampire slaying thing. But
That
they
sounds
didn't show
interesting.
like any gameplay. They show like someone like slowly opening a coffin, trying to like murder a vampire, but then that's about it. I want to see more of this. Like it sounds like a really
Yeah.
interesting concept, and like in VR, it'd be really interesting to like trying to be slowly like stealthily moving to take out
Yeah.
these vampires and stuff like that. I want to see more of that, but at the moment it is only a Quest exclusive, so I would only be able to play it if I got a Quest headset. We got more about Ghostbusters: Rise of the Ghost Lord. Um, I thought
Okay,
maybe
which one
this.
was this one? Because I always get confused which one
It's
was which.
the co-op
The co-op
Ghostbusters
one.
VR
Okay.
game. Yeah,
So the good one.
yeah.
I guess they're both good, I suppose. But
I think it's the only VR one. There's like
the
a
other one not.
PvP one that was not in VR.
That one in VR. Okay.
Yeah. We still don't have a release date on this. We've seen more gameplay, but I don't believe we know
So
when it's coming out still. And
so
this
is
was
the load
announced like
crossing in?
last year as well.
Okay. So it's
Sorry?
kind of very interesting, like to have like a Ghostbusters thing, but in more places around the world. That's kind of interesting.
I like that they're taking Ghostbusters and making it more like cartoony as well, which I think is a good idea.
Yeah,
Because it was always kind of dumb, so it makes sense to make it more like slapstick, like cartoon.
yeah, yeah. I don't think it doesn't. Yeah, it's a fine
Yeah,
adapt
that looks good.
theme for it.
Racket Club, okay, Meta exclusive, but one of my favorite VR games of all time is 11 Table Tennis, and it's so hard to explain why it's so good when I say it's just table tennis in VR. This is just tennis in VR, and they've done this thing where they made like a very small tennis court, so you could
Yeah,
realistically like actually play on a real
I
tennis
love
court sort of thing.
I love how tiny it looks in like the big stadium.
Yeah. But honestly, this could be really, really fun. So I love tennis. It's like one of my favorite sports. A big, big fan of it. Ever since I was a kid. So I would love to play something like this in VR. Like because especially with like the training modes and the online PvP, I love playing the training modes in like 11 table tennis and just queuing up against random people on the matchmaking. So it could be really, really fun to try. Yeah, looks cool. Hopefully, it comes to PC VR as well. Um,
Well, you can
do you
bounce off the walls. Interesting.
do you remember when Vampire the Masquerades was going to be making a game, and then they made that
Yeah,
Blood Hunt Battle Royale game they shut down?
yeah.
Apparently, they're making a VR game.
Right.
Oh, okay. It's
Venice.
no. It not only that, it's going to be an immersive sim in VR, and I'm like,
Okay.
holy shit! I don't think anyone's really tried a VR immersive sim yet because that sounds like an insane amount of work to make it good.
Well, that sounds like just a
Um,
Vampire Masquerade Bloodline game, but
yeah, like we've had
I assume it'd
the
be a shorter immersive sim.
Typhoon Hunt DLC VR version of Prey, but it's not really an immersive sim. It's sort of more of a walking simulator for a bit. Um, haven't really had an immersive sim game in VR yet. I think.
I still feel like it's going to be a lot shorter than like a non-VR immersive sim. Though. I mean, some of the powers are
Yeah,
cool.
but if they can do this,
Yeah. Wait, this year?
yeah, if they can pull this off, I think this is a very good idea. I would love to
Yeah,
see
I
an immersive
mean,
sim done in VR.
yeah. If it's good and that works, that's great. Yeah, absolutely.
Dungeons of Eternity. We've got a hack and slash RPG game. Looks like it could be fun. Is it MetaQuest exclusive? It is MetaQuest exclusive, so none on PC VR right now, but it's alright. Could be fun. Stranger Things VR. It is coming to PSVR and PC as well. But I believe we've seen like a brief trailer on this before, but I believe we see a bit more now about what you'll be doing. It seems like, oh yeah, this is the one where you were becoming the villain. You were becoming Vecna, who's like the new villain from the newest series of Stranger Things. It's like with no more
Oh, right.
rainbows. Um, I was saying like it was cool to be play the villain rather than the good guy.
Yeah.
Which I think is
You're
really
still battling
like
monsters though.
what's that game like? Carry On as well,
Oh, Carrion. Yeah, from
reverse
or
horror
published
game.
version. Yeah.
Yeah, reverse horror VR game.
Platformer. Yeah, yeah.
Looks like it could be really really fun.
There's lots of things kind of like Carrion with like the tendrils and stuff, right?
Excited to see this one. Looks really interesting. We've got a new action hack and slash Attack on Titan game. Seems exclusive to the MetaQuest from what we can see. Didn't I think they've already done a Attack on Titan VR game? Or
I
is this the
thought so.
first one?
Yeah.
I mean, I went to Tokyo Game Show in VR the year before last, and there was a giant Attack on Titan thing they were showing off, but it was for like a Attack on Titan VR roller coaster experience. It wasn't like a
Right.
VR game. Uh, so yeah, I don't know if they have done one or this might be the first one, but yeah, this looks like motion sickness if this is real gameplay.
Yeah, I
Then
was gonna say, is this not gonna be absolutely insane? Like, people not. Are people gonna die from this?
Nah, they won't die.
Okay.
We had like a huge fucking deep dive on Asgard's Wrath 2, which is like a first-person action hack and slash. I'm not like super familiar with the first game, but it seems like it is one of the most popular like hack and slashy sort of RPG games for the MetaQuest. I believe it's made by Meta themselves. So
Oh
this is
right.
like one of their like big projects that they put a lot of like money into. Um, and I think like people seem to really like the first one. And from what I
Okay.
was watching like the deep dive,
That's interesting.
you're like a god, and you go into the body of heroes to like fight on like their level. So you do like god shit in like the big picture, but you also go down to like the human level and have like battles with creatures. It looks really really fun from what I saw. So I'd
Hmm.
be interested to try that one out, but probably a Quest exclusive. Um, and then the most like biggest head scratcher for me was Bulletstorm VR. I don't know if you
Yeah.
saw this. Like, I just got
Is
done playing Bulletstorm recently, and I
it
was like,
2013?
something like that. Yeah, it was like People Can Fly. So the people who did like Shadow Warrior, they did.
Oh,
The
was
other
it
one,
those
was it
guys?
them? Let me look it up so I don't. No, Shadow Warrior. People Can Fly. What did they do? They did Outriders. They did Gears of War Judgment. Uh, they made the Devolver. Did they? No, I'm thinking of Flying Wild Hog. That's who
Yeah.
I'm thinking of. This is People Can Fly. Yeah, yeah, this is different. Okay, so they did like Outriders, um, which is cool to see. They did Bulletstorm. Obviously, was the big game that people seem to like. I went back and I replayed Bulletstorm recently, and I think it hasn't as aged well as people seem to think. Is
I would have
my
thought it was
opinion on
okay
it.
at best, even at the time, from my remember of it.
I
But
feel like there's like group psychosis where people are like Bulletstorm's an underrated masterpiece. You got to go back and try this
right,
jam. And I tried it, and I was like, this is like a kind of mediocre shooter that has not aged well. It
yeah,
kind of like is not
because it has
great.
really bad jokes in it, from my remember.
No, I mean, like it hasn't aged well in terms of like how it controls and
Yeah,
runs and stuff like that. And I was like, but it's like an Unreal Engine 3 game, right? So this is like the
yeah,
perfect candidate for a Quest game because that's the sort of level of hardware you could easily
yeah.
run on a Quest 2 or a 3. And
But
I
it's
think the
weird that a 10-year-old game becomes into VR. Though it's still weird to me.
but I think like the idea of like physically being able to whip enemies and my favorite thing in the game was controlling the bullets like manually with a sniper rifle.
Mm,
You would control the bullet. I don't think that would be as fun in VR. I think in VR the fun would be coming from actually physically firing the guns rather
yeah,
than going into like a cutscene of watching a bullet. I feel like that
I
would
would
kind of be
assume so.
immersion breaking, or like maybe
Yeah,
even make people motion sick. But um, we'll see how much they change about the actual. From what I'm seeing of the trailer, it looks like the normal base Bulletstorm game, but in VR. It doesn't seem like they've like sectioned too much of it off, but we'll have to wait and see like how good it is. I mean, it's coming to PS, it's coming to PS5, PSVR 2, and Oculus. So it doesn't even have a PSVR announcement. I thought no, it has a Steam page for sure. I'm fairly sure I've seen that, so that should be updated on the website. Yeah, it has a Steam page, but it's coming to PC VR as well. I know that for sure. Um, yeah. Yeah, those are the announcements. I think the big highlight was Ratchet and Clank on PC. I don't know when it wasn't announced at Sony's conference. Apparently, we might be getting more announcements uh, in like Summer Jeff Fest from PlayStation, but so we could potentially see another PC release of a Sony title or a new Sony title for the PS5. So that could be interesting to see if they want to like pepper out these releases um, throughout, not E3. But yeah,
yeah.
that is the end of Not E3 Part 1. And surely next podcast with the Bethesda and Starfield Direct and Microsoft and and everything else and Devolver Direct is going to be shorter than 3 hours, guys. Surely.
You only hope.
Yeah. And you can check us out and Everything In Between Podcast at Everything In Between Podcast on YouTube. That is our handle. You can find us easily. Twitch.tv/Scorn if you want to watch live. And Scorn2000 on Twitter. And if you want to listen to the audio-only versions, go to show.cast.com/everything-in-between-podcast. And if you click on the episode, it will give you links to the Apple podcast and Spotify versions for you to listen along. And yeah, let's read a Pitmology tweet before we go. Announcement. My new game will be delayed by 9 months to add polish. The new groundbreaking feature allows the player to polish absolutely anything in the world that is continuously gathering dirt in real time. And then somebody replied saying, Polish Wash Simulator? To which Pitmology replied, but does Polish Wash Simulator continuously develop dirt over time? Or is it there just at the start of the level? Will it really be in as depth as Peter's version, as his cinematic vision of the future of video game polish will come?
We can only hope the true polish from Peter.
All right, we will see you next podcast for the next half of E3, and hopefully we'll have some more interesting news for you, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.